Gotta pay me, y'all little niggas move out my way.
Niggas bitches act like they be getting switches. Niggas lie, hit my DM like they killers. Niggas really ain't outside. All these rappers act like killers. I be trying to bite my pride. I be cool though. Fuck that Asu post up outside. Told these niggas that they gang and they can hang. That shit be strange. I be there, then I pull off my entourage and take your brain. We put switches on them videos. We ain't even got no time to aim. If you snitch, your ass can't come back around. We ain't that type of gang.
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Hopefully everybody's in here. Sorry about the little doozy. Somehow it was still public, but it's now back on unlisted. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. Everybody is fixed. Everybody that paid for the debate is allowed to be in here. I want y'all to tap in. I need y'all to support. I need y'all to support. I need y'all to support. Some people slipped in through the door, though. Once you in, you in. Once you slip in, you slipped in. So some niggas slipped in through the door. We ain't mad at you. We ain't mad at you. If you purchase your pay-per-view and you didn't get your pay-per-view ticket, you're not coming through. You gotta show proof of motherfucking purchase. So if you in here, drop them fire emojis, man. Y'all know what y'all came for, man. This is gonna be a movie today, you guys. This is going to be a movie. This is probably the biggest debate so far, man. We might even have 90 to 100 people coming here. I know we sold 65 tickets, you guys. Shout out to everybody that came through, man. We sold 65 tickets. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Shout out to everybody that is in the building. So what we doing, man? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Are y'all we good? Drop them fire emojis. What we doing? I want to make sure we got the fellas in here, man. We are in here right now, you guys. Hawk School versus not a coincidence. Are indentured servants and slaves the same? All right. Shout out to everybody that's in the building, man. Drop them fire emojis. Let me get a mic check from these two brothers. Hawk School, what's the word?
What's that?
Hawk School, let's get a mic check.
Try.
Keep it unmuted. Keep it unmuted. You better get ready to go in. I want to make sure we're good on audio. Not a coincidence. What's the word?
What's good? I'm here. Let's go.
Man. Hey, y'all ready? Hey, the anticipation's thick in here. Hey, no bap lifting. Did you tell your people no bap lifting, not a coincidence, bro?
Absolutely.
No bap lifting, bro?
Absolutely.
All right, now listen, let's start this thing off proper. Let's deal with the rules and regulations. First rule is make sure you got a pen and paper. You're paying attention to the information. Second rule, which is probably the most important rule, nobody gets blocked or timed out. Moderators, y'all the only one that's capable of doing that. So no moderators, no timing nobody out, no blocking anybody. I need matter of fact, Mark Spector. If any of the moderators block or time somebody out, Mark Spector, let me know, and we're taking the wrenches. All right.
Don't get your wrench took.
This is about to be a movie. I got the brother Hanuel with me, help hosting this live debate with me. Shout out to Hanu, peace and business. He ain't gonna be. He just here for emotional support. He just sitting here. Shout out to my brother Hanu. And he's pretty here just to assist if I need any help, why if I step away or anything like that, he's able to maneuver through. So, man, Pan-Africans, man, are y'all ready, man? I want to see all the fire emojis from the Pan-Africans. Let me see fire emojis from the Pan-Africans for all my Aborigines that's in here for House School and for the Aboriginal information. Make sure y'all drop them ones in the chat. Pan-Africans, drop the fire emojis. Aboriginals, drop the ones in the chat. Let's get it. No,
where y'all at?
Try.
And don't forget, we're gonna run.
There's no deleting, no timing, no blocking, no nothing. Everybody that's in here paid to be here. Clear. So y'all heard it here. If y'all block, time, delete, You're getting wrenches took. That's the facts. Mark Spector, you're expecting everybody. See how that worked? Shout out to everybody that purchased tickets for this debate, man. I do want to say peace, love, and blessings, man. We do really appreciate the support. Look at the turnout. This is going to be a huge debate. I'm gonna allow Hawk School to introduce itself to the people, and then we allow Not a Coincidence. Then we'll flip this coin, you guys. Let's get it.
Hey man, peace to the tribes. You already know the vibes. It is I, the Incredible Hawk. You already know where we broadcasting from. We live from the Immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Put some ones in the chat. You know what I'm talking about? The one is for one because we already won.
You already know. It's your boy, Not a Coincidence here. The Battle of the Bull. The bullshit. All right, we're going to get into this, man. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get it. Hold on. Let me go grab my lucky coin. Give me a second. Hold on. Grab my coin right quick. Hold on. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Hit that like button, man. We about to hit that coin, man. We about to flip the coin in like 60 seconds. I'm gonna need y'all to hit that like button, man. Hit that like button, thumb up the video, support the channel, man. We'll be right back in 60 seconds.
See, my life has been in motion. I'm a little windy. I'm not giving up yet. If you with me, time to place up your bet. Ain't no turning back, got niggas who ran. When we caught his ass, got caught in that jam. Yeah, you know who I am. Yeah, you know who I am. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. Yeah, you can feel it coming. Fake love, that snake you in your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it.
Shout out to everybody that's in the building, man. Let me get this off the screen. Let me get this off the screen for the family. We here, man. We here. What we doing? Who calling it? What we doing? I think Hawk School might have stepped away. Hawk School, you still in here?
Tribe.
All right. Well, I see your other thing leave. All right, good. All right. So what we doing? Call in the air. Got the lucky coin. I mean, the lucky nickel, man. Thrifty nickel, man.
Heads,
what we doing?
Heads, man. We the head. We ain't the tail.
Heads. Heads it is.
Go ahead, man. It's on you.
All right. Before we get into this, I want to make sure we break this thing down to you guys. We're gonna have a 3-minute rounds, 3 20-minute rounds. So each one of you guys will have 20-minute rounds. You guys will have a 5-minute rebuttal at the end of each and every round. We'll do a 20-minute question and answering round where you allow 60 seconds to ask the question and 60 seconds for the person to answer. All right. Is that clear to you guys, brothers?
Yes, sir.
Not a coincidence. You're going up first. If you want a couple minutes, just let me know. I can barely hear you, not a coincidence. Let me turn your microphone up. Let's make sure. All the way up.
You can't hear me?
There you go. You sound a little better now. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. There you go. Round one on you, man. Let's get it, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man.
See, my life has been in motion. I'm a little windy. I'm not giving up yet. If you with me, time to place up your bet. Ain't no...
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Matter of fact, let me say this. Hawk School, if you want to go ahead and give a 5-minute introduction to the people, what they're expected to see before these rounds during this debate, and then we allow Not a Coincidence to give his 5 minutes and then go straight into his round. Okay, so go ahead, Brother Hawk. What they're going to be expecting to see during this debate. You got 5 minutes to get into that. Not a Coincidence, you got the same. I almost forgot that part. Hawk School, you with me?
I'm here. I just had to get my screen on deck.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah, this is
Scare me there now. Don't do that.
Yeah, I know that's. I like to keep the tension up. You know what I'm talking about.
Let's go.
Can you share my screen if you don't mind?
Do you want to share it for the 5-minute introduction? Yes, sir. Let's go.
Yeah, we like to, we Indians, man. We come in and we got niggas dripping with beads all on the horse and shit. You know what I'm talking about? Big fur coats to the flow. But peace to everyone. We do appreciate you, you know what I mean, for taking time out for supporting this, and we will make it worthwhile. I know I will.
Start now.
Well, the time is irrelevant, brother. It won't take much time, all right? Because we got his story under investigation. And the question is, are indentured servants and slaves the same? All right. And we know that they are the same. All right. So we're not going to really do too much chatting. We're just going to get to the show and prove. All right. And our goal is to reveal the false historical narratives perpetuated by academia and its agents. All right. So that is our goal. All right. And our main problem here when it comes to doing this research with many of these guys is they do not grasp the English language. All right. And he's worried I'm going to talk about etymology. We don't have to talk about the origin of a word to understand the language we speak. All right. But we'll get to that later. You know what I mean? Just get your notebook out. It's going to be one of them ones.
All right, shout out to Hawk School, man. Not a coincidence. It's ready for you to go in now, brother.
Yeah, so
You screen sharing too?
Nah,
you just give me an introduction.
Not yet.
Do your thing.
Not yet. So this is gonna be it's gonna be real simple, right? Words have meanings, right? And we can't just go around making up our own words like a whole school's trying to do, right? In these meanings, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how these meanings was applied in real life, right? With primary sources. We're not gonna do secondary sources. We're not just gonna go into some he said, she said book. We're gonna get down to the primaries and see what actually happened in life, right? We're not gonna come with some make-believe story that Hawk School want to come with, that indentured servants and slaves are the same. They're not. And I'm gonna show you they're not. You could my first round, I could start.
Yeah, you can start whenever. You can, yeah. You got 3 minutes left.
Sharing my screen? You sharing my screen?
No, I'm not. Let me get your time together, brother. Hold on. 1 second. Sorry. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Your screen is up now. As soon as you start, I'm starting this time, brother.
All right. Are indentured servants and slaves the same? All right. Words and terms have meanings, like I was just saying, right? Meaning now, the thing one intends to convey, especially by language, the thing that is conveyed, especially by language, something that is meant or intended. So the intended use of these words like servant and slave, indentured servant and slave, we're going to get down to it. Hawk isn't going to be able to hide behind just some people saying, oh, this is what happened and comparing it. Nah, we're going to have to actually see this. Right? What is an indentured servant? Noun, a person who signs and is bound by indentures. Remember, a person who is bound by indentures to work for another for a specified time, especially in return for payment of travel, expenses, and maintenance. It's from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. So indenture, we're going to get into what that means, right? So we see here, this is a contract where somebody is exchanging work for travel and expenses, right? It cost to come to America. It wasn't free. So in exchange, they exchanged their work for a certain amount of time. Slavery is forever. Indentures. Indentures are agreements between two parties about long-term work. The length of servitude might be a specified number of years or until the servant reaches a certain age. Some people indenture themselves. They willingly do this. Slavery has never been a something that somebody signed up for. This is something that most of these indentured servants signed up for. We're going to get into the differences, right? So a specified number of years or until the servant reached a certain age. Some people indenture themselves in order to gain passage to America or to escape debt and poverty. Others, including convicts, were sold into indenture upon arrival. So people committing crimes also got indentured, right? They would get sentenced to a certain amount of time. This is from indentured servants, apprentices, convicts, family histories at the Library of Congress. So again, indentures are agreements between two parties. Two people agree to do this. One person has land, or they have a project they need help on a bill. They want to hire people out, so they get people who want to assign all their time and work for a specific number of years. Could be 4, could be 2, could be 5. So this is a willful thing. This is not slavery. Here we have an indentured servant contract. This indenture or contract dated May 20th, 1784, states that James Bracken, a linen weaver from Armagh, Ireland, has agreed to serve 4-year term as an indentured servant. Has agreed to serve a 4-year term as an indentured servant. Paul School could never show you where somebody said, "Oh yeah, I'll be a slave." I would like to see that. So we need to see these type of things where, how are they really the same if one is for a certain amount of time, one is till the person dies, or somebody's nice enough to let them free. There is no contract, there is no agreements, right? So James Bracken agreed to serve a 4-year term as an indentured servant in Virginia for Enoch Stickney or his heirs in exchange for his services. The contract promised Bracken passage to Virginia on the ship Washington, sufficient meat, drink, apparel, lodging, and all other necessities befitting such a servant, and freedom at the end of the years of service. Remember, this is a 4-year term. He gets freedom at the end, right? He gets freedom dues. And in the meantime, by law, he has to eat right. He has to make sure he has drinking, clothes, somewhere to live. Nowhere will you see that slaves had these certain rights or amenities to life. There's another indenture contract. All right. In this indenture contract dated August 4, 1755, the English carpenter and joiner William Buckland promised 4 years of service to Thomas Mason. He promises 4 years of service. This is an indenture servant contract. There are no slave contracts. I don't know what Hawk School's going to show y'all, but it's not going to be somebody agreeing. So already right there's a distinction. Somebody agrees to do something, somebody's forced to do something. How is that the same? They could be doing the same work, but it's not the same when one person at the end in a couple of years is going to be able to go home free. While the other, he has to plot to run away or commit a crime like murder just to get away. In the plantation of Virginia beyond the seas, Mason hired Buckland on behalf of his brother George Mason, who sought a skilled craftsman to help him design the interior woodwork in Gunston Hall, his plantation home in Fairfax County. The contract promised the 22-year-old Buckland paid passage to Virginia, 20 pounds of sterling per year, and room and board in exchange for 4 years of service, after which he would gain his freedom. So for 4 years, he gets 20 pounds a year, 20 pounds of sterling. For 4 years, he gets room and board. This don't sound like the slavery I hear. This is another indentured servant contract. How much time I got? In November 1742.
You got 14 minutes, brother. My bad.
All right.
And I'll let y'all know when y'all get down to 10 to 5 minutes.
All right. There's another indentured servant contract. So again, whole school is going to have to show us how are these things even the same? How could you compare the two? Right? One has a contract where in this contract it says they're supposed to get a certain amount of things like food, clothing, lodging. Right? We got to understand. I'm gonna keep beating y'all in the head with this. Right? In November 1742, John Reed Jr. of New Jersey bound himself to Robert Livingston Jr., a member of a prominent New York family, to learn the merchant trade. Reed was to receive sufficient meat, drink, and lodging, food, clothing, and shelter for 5 years and be taught the art and mystery of a merchant. In exchange, he and his father pledged that Reed would gladly everywhere obey. So again, this is an agreement. For 5 years, he's going to work. He's going to obey this guy's lawful commands. In exchange, he gets taken care of. In exchange, he and his father pledged that Reed would gladly everywhere obey Livingston's lawful commands and do no damage to his said master, and not contract matrimony, or absent himself day or night from his said master's service without his leave. Again, this is an agreement. I don't know how he's going to show these slaves agreeing when we know there was no agreement. What is a slave? This is from the Black Law's Dictionary, 4th edition. Slave, a person who is hopefully subject to the will of another, one who has no freedom of action, but whose person and service are wholly under the control of another. No freedom of action, subject to another person. So when we looked up indentured servant, we didn't see those type of words being used. We seen agreement, we seen contract, right? We seen freedom. These people are able to get free. What is a slave? Someone captured, sold, or born into chattel slavery. Right? This is a quote from Henry Highland Garnett. Our poor and forlorn brother, who thou hast labeled slave. So why isn't he just using indentured servant if slave and servant is the same? Is also a man. God made him such, and his brother cannot unmake him. So slaves are captured, sold, or born into chattel slavery. Well, you might be thinking, well, what's chattel slavery? Right? Again, we cannot make up meanings to words if we want to be serious and have these conversations. Right? We have to have a baseline on what these words are. What is chattel slavery? Slavery in which a person is owned as chattel. Well, right, Webster Dictionary said, see chattel, sense two. So you follow directions, you go to sense two. Now, an enslaved person held as the legal property of another. That's self-explanatory. You know, when you hear my property, you could do what you want with your property. Again, when we look at slave, we don't see words like agreement. We don't see indenture. We don't see words like contract. We don't see words like freedom at the end of contract. We don't see these words with slave, and we don't see slave contracts. Again, Hawk School. I hope he plans on showing us slave contracts. So, like I said, the slaves were property. So these slaves gifted through deeds. Deeds are written agreements which convey title of property, such as enslaved person, from one individual to another. The type of deed predominantly found in Virginia Untold involves the voluntary transfer of enslaved people between family members with no financial transaction involved. Well, people aren't gifting indentured servants. Wonder why? Because you had to pay for them to get over here, right? So you're getting there's already the agreement of a contract of service. These people are who are enslaved. They actually get passed down through inheritance. You got generations. Person will have somebody's grandmother. They might have paid for the grandmother, but you'll see that their children is also, right? So it's like you doubling up, right? So Robert Boyd gives Theosia Coke 2 Negro slaves, right? So this is the deed right here. It's from 1783, right? For the natural love and affection which I have for my sister-in-law, Theosia Coke, have given, granted, bargained, and sold, and by these presents do give, grant, bargain, and sell unto the said Theosia Coke 2 Negro girls named Betty and Fanny, with their increase to her, right? So these indentured servants, they're getting free in 4 years. They're leaving and taking everything with them. These enslaved people, if they can enslave themselves, their children are still enslaved. That's a whole separate process. Now they have to go and try to get their children free. But there is no contract, so there's no guarantee that's even going to happen, right? 2 Negro girls named Betty and Fanny with their increase to her heirs, and etc. The right and title of said girls, Betty and Fanny, I do warrant unto the said Theosia Coke to her heirs, etc. But if the said Theosia Coke should depart this life without lawful heirs, that the said Negro girls, Betty and Fanny, with their increase, that means their children, shall return again to me, my heirs or assigns. This is property that's just being passed around with no end date. So, okay, we see the distinction. Slaves don't have an end date. Indentured servants do. Slaves are treated like property, passed around from person to person. Indentured servants, they can get their contract can get sold off, but again, it's going to be exchange of money. It's a contract that's worth something. There's another set of slaves gifted in wills. It says this indenture. Remember, indenture means contract. So when you hear the word indentured servant, just think about contract servants. Contract servants. This indenture made this January 1827 between William Brockenbrough, administrator with the will annex of Spencer Rome, deceased, and William H. Rome, witnessed that whereas the said Spencer Rome did by his last will and testament bequeath the following slaves, to wit, Big Ben, Jesse, Henry, Giles, Lewis, Little Lucy, and her child, Peggy and her children, Sucky and her youngest child, Sophia, Houseman, Dick, Alec, Fanny, and House Millie to his wife during her life, and by another clause of the said will did decree the said Negroes and their increase. Now, I said all their names for a reason, because these are real people. These are real people being passed around as property. I'm not just going to skip over their names. So it says, decree the said Negroes and their increase. So even the people you see here, when they have more children and the children listed here, when they have children, they're going to be passed. They're going to have indentured servants. So from another, the death of the said tester's wife to his son, William H. Rome, to be held by him during his life. Again, slaves are treated as property. They don't have contracts. These indentured servants, they have contracts. There's an end to their madness. There's an end to their servitude. So Hawk can't come in here and just say, oh, well, this good looking. He can't come in here and say, well, they mean the same thing, because now he's going to have to provide his definition. He already said he's not going to go into etymology, because when you look at the etymology, it's going to sit there and say exactly what I've been saying, right? But what's the etymology for indentured servant? What's the definition for indentured servant? Right? How is he going to make this comparison? What, he thinks he's just going to show us some white people complain about hard work? Nah, it doesn't work like that. Well, later on, we're going to get into, well, I'm going to get into a little bit now, distinction. The act of perceiving someone or something as being not the same and often treated as separate or different. The distinguishing of a difference. This is from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Distinctions are important. So this is the 1705 an act concerning servants and slaves. So we just see in the title right here, there's a distinction. The servants and slaves are the same. Why are they using two separate words? So what does number one say? That all servants brought into this country without indenture. So all servants brought without contract. If the said servant be Christian and of Christian parentage and above 19 years of age shall serve but 5 years. So if these people coming in, they don't have a contract. If they're servant, I mean, if they are from a Christian and Christian parentage, they will get a contract. They will get a contract. Number 4, that all servants imported and brought into this country by sea or land who were not Christian in their native country, except Turks and Moors, in amity with them, with Her Majesty and others that can make due proof of their being free in England or any other Christian country, before they were shipped in order to transport hither, shall be accounted and be slaves. So if you come from a non-Christian country, you'll be a slave. So, but Hawk School wants to tell us that slavery and indentured servant is the same. In laws, they make the distinction. In laws, they make the distinction. Like right here, all servants imported. So if this debate was just about the word servant, he might have something. But we're talking about indentured servants, y'all. Remember that, indentured servants. The word indentured means contract. In the 1705 Act concerning servants and slaves. Number 4, it tells you the people who are going to be accounted as slaves are people from non-Christian native country. How much time I got left?
You got 1 minute and 50 seconds.
All right, I'm gonna end it right there. Go ahead.
All right, man. That was a fire round from Not a Coincidence. Shout out to Not a Coincidence, you guys. We're gonna get ready to get that thing locked and loaded and get everybody going. Hawk School, you ready? You got a 5-minute rebuttal, and then you get to end your 20-minute round.
All right.
Hold on, let me get your time together. Be a 5-minute rebuttal. All right. Whenever you're ready. You ready now?
Yeah. You see my screen?
Yep, your screen is showing now.
All right. Well, before we even get into these little small areas of the world, as you can see on the map on the right in the yellow, you have the 13 colonies. Okay, so he's telling us about the laws in one of these colonies in this small section of this great continent of North America. If you look at the map on the left, you can see all the various Indian tribes already inhabiting these areas and already living sovereign in the land. These would be the people who are from non-Christian countries, as he refers to, because what he doesn't understand is Virginia was a country to these people. Okay, it's just a little trap. All right, they ain't never had shit, so they think the trailer park is a neighborhood. All right, and what he also fails to realize is that he just read the law. It says it is enacted that all servants, all right, all the niggas with them contracts you talking about, well, guess what? If you ain't from a Christian country, you're going to be taken as a slave. You're going to be instantly a slave because you already a slave. But guess what? We might give you a contract if you want to come and pretend you're a Christian. All right, this shit is a play. But we ain't going to waste too much time with that because we got the sources, you know what I'm talking about? But we want to focus on this little section up here because he seems to think that these people rule the world. All right, and I don't want to take up too much time, but we'll get into it later and we'll actually see the condition of one of these people and how they were living per the Virginia Humanities site. All right, I know you guys love sites. And this is a letter from Francis Perkin in Jamestown to a friend in England.
Oh, you can't
All
get
right.
some
And
time.
he's gonna tell about how he's living. All right, because he's living in squalor. All right. He's begging for some clothes. All right. The ship called the John and Francis with Captain Christopher Newport arrived at Jamestown on the 2nd of January. The river is very fair and wide, but full of shoals and oyster banks, blah, blah, blah. The land is low-lying, forested right down to the coast. We had warm weather all the time. Afterwards, it gets cold, and the frost is so sharp that I and many others suffered frozen feet, okay? I guess maybe they don't have shoes, unlike some of the Indians who are trading leather all through the northern region, all right? A month after this, we went to a region where there was a great deal of frost and snow. The neighboring region had a great abundance of wild swans, herons, cranes, all right? So he's just exploring. They're just some travelers, all right, some bums, some gypsies. The cold was so intense that one night in the river, our fort froze almost all the way across, blah, blah, blah. The ice in the river froze some fish, which when we took them out after the ice was melted were very good. So they're getting dead fish out of the frozen ice, all right? Everybody's sick and dying. I have sent my lady, your wife, a pair of turtle doves, others to my lady Catherine, and others to Sir William Cornwallis, hoping when our ship makes another trip, I will have better things to send you. I'm sending you an ear of corn with 2 pots of dirt. All right. So this is the big trade that's going on between the colonies and London. All right. An ear of corn and 2 pots of dirt. There are many little animals here with skins of fine fur. If I come across any, I will send them for you and your friends to see. All right, because he don't have any. He doesn't even have a fur coat like the Indians. You know, we already walking around draping in furs. This nigga ain't even caught a motherfucking squirrel. All right, he just telling them everything that's here. All right. Now he goes down and where he at begging for some motherfucking clothes. All right. Here he is. Begging at the same time, my lady Catherine, to be so kind. All right. Could you be so kind? Could you get Sir William Cornwallis to send me 10 pounds worth of discarded clothing, be it apparel, underwear, doublets, breeches, mantle, hoses, or whatever he likes? For we need everything because the fire burned all we had, and anything will be of use to us. All right. We don't even have no draws. Can he send me some draws from London? All right, bitch, because we're down bad. All right. And this is coming straight from your servant while he lives. Because the nigga feel like he on his last leg, y'all. You talking about primary. This nigga let her. He said, I'm about to die in this motherfucker. I just sent y'all 2 pots of dirt and an ear of corn. Can y'all send me some draws? Hey, man, say, man. That's who making the laws in this little section of the world that he want to convince y'all? The viceroyalty of New Spain. What? What laws do they have there? Not a coincidence. Oh, you can buy yourself out of slavery there. Oh, so even without a contract. So it's damn near like you're an indentured. You have a time limit, right? We could just get into the round.
Yep, about to get into your 20-minute round. That was your 5-minute rebuttal. Let's get into your 20-minute round. So whenever you're ready to get into that, you start speaking. I'm gonna start your time.
Yeah, we just gonna start from the top and reiterate. All right. The problem is my opponent does not grasp the English language. Here's your vocabulary words, okay? Because he's gonna do all this dancing. We ain't gonna do no dancing. We're just gonna get straight to it. All right, just straight to it. What is an indentured servant? All right, we speak in English here. We don't have to do all this. Let's first, because clearly he doesn't know what an indentured servant is. So let's establish what that is. All right. A person who signs and is bound by indentures to work for another for a specified time, especially in return for payment of travel, expenses, and maintenance. All right. You're correct about that. You got that right. Let's see some examples of it. All right. In a sentence, recent example, in every direction are street signs that bear the names of the town's 19th century settlers who were freeborn black citizens, the formerly enslaved and indentured servants. All right. Outline represents Grace Wishers, a free black child who was Pickersgill's indentured servant and apprentice. Okay. That's coming to us from Merriam Dictionary. We don't have to do nothing extra. Let's see what the synonyms are. All right. Oh, you don't know what a synonym is, apparently. A synonym is one of two or more words or expressions of the same language that have the same or nearly the same meaning in some or all senses. Okay, I didn't really think we had to go there, but I guess we do. A word or phrase that by association is held to embody something, such as a concept or quality. A tyrant whose name has become a synonym for oppression. All right, a tyrant and an oppression are synonymous. All right, the same. And yes, the English language, and we may presume many other languages, has both antonyms and synonyms. There are many more words with synonyms than there are words with antonyms, since many things exist which do not have an opposite. The word sandwich, for instance, may be said to have synonyms in the words hoagie, grinder, submarine, and many other words, but there is no opposite of sandwich. All right. Antonym is also a much more recent addition to the English language than synonym is. It first appeared in the 1860s, whereas synonym has been used for more than 500 years. All right. For 500 years, people have understood the concept of a synonym. All right. So we're just going to keep it basic. Now, what are the synonyms of indentured servant? A bondservant, a handmaid, a servant, a serf, a handmaiden, a domestic, a lackey, a bondsman, attendant, helot, bondswoman, bondwoman, drudge, slave, menial, bondman, chattel, thrall. What is a bondservant? One bound to service without wages. Also, a slave. All right, here we see another servant, which is also a slave. Well, what are the synonyms of bondservant? Maybe that'll give us a clue. A definition of bondservant as indentured servant? Yes, that, robots. Well, indentured servant, handmaid, servant, serf, domestic, handmaid, lackey, bondsman, helot, attendant, bondswoman, bondwoman, drudge, slave, menial, bondwoman, chattel. And of course, this is from Merriam-Webster dictionary and thesaurus, just regular shit, bro. All right. What are antonyms? Maybe that'll give us a clue. All right. Maybe I'm going over your head. What is the opposite of an indentured servant? A free man is the opposite of an indentured servant. A slave driver is the opposite of an indentured servant. A freed man is the opposite of an indentured servant. A slaveholder, a master. So if master is the opposite of indentured servant, what does that tell you? All right. The opposite of a servant is a freeman or a master. So what is the opposite of my slave? All right. What is a synonym of slave? As in servant, a person who is considered the property of another person. Many American slaves reached freedom in the North through the network known as the Underground Railroad. Synonyms and similar words: servant, bondsman, chattel, thrall. All right. Slave, to devote serious and sustained effort. This is the verb of slave. And then you have the synonyms. All right. But he wants you to fag through life. He wants you to devote serious and sustained effort. He wants you to struggle. Did you know that fag was synonymous with slave? That may explain a lot with you guys. All right. It explains your struggle. Another synonym is serf. Maybe that'll give us some guidance. A member of a servile feudal class bound to the land and subject to the will of its owner. A servant or a laborer of olden times who was treated as part of the land, worked on and went along with the land as if, if it was sold. From French serf, a slave bound to a certain piece of land. From early French, from Latin, servus, slave, servant. Related to servant, see word history at slave. I mean, what are we doing here, bro? Slaves, someone captured, sold, or born into chattel slavery. Now, there's three forms of the noun slave. Someone such as a factory worker or a domestic worker who is coerced, often under the threat of violence, to work for little or no pay. Someone held captive and forced to perform sexual acts, usually under threat of violence and often for the purpose of commercial prostitution, as in a sex slave. All right. Middle English, sclave, slave, from early French esclaves, same meaning, derived from Latin sclavus, slave. All right. But these guys don't want you to know who the slaves are. They had contracts. Well, here's the kid's definition: a person who is owned by another person who can be sold at the owner's will. All right. A person who has lost self-control and is controlled by something or someone else. This is the kid's definition. All right. Do you think the indentured servants were not owned by another person? You just said they were inherited. Well, the kids know they're slaves. But you want to hide the factory workers, slaves. One of the people who inhabit most of Eastern Europe. Oh, that's Slav? That's what you hiding? Oh, you just gonna do the etymology and try. Well, Yugoslavia actually means South Slavia. South Slavia. All right. In the Middle Ages, Germanic people fought and raided other people, especially the Slavic people to the east. They took a great many captives there and sold them as slaves throughout Europe. The Slavic people were so common as slaves that writers of the time used the Latin word for Slav, sklavus, to mean a personal slave. The Latin word became sklav in Middle English and then slave in modern English. Of course, slavery and slaves had existed long before the Middle Ages. The ancient Romans used the Latin word servus for slave. All right, you see serf, all the same word. This Latin word is the ancestor of our word servant. What? Service? Latin for slave is the ancestor of the word servant? Oh, you didn't know slave was the ancestor of the word servant?
12 minutes. 12 minutes.
That's why you don't understand that America is the ancestor of all of these other nations. All right. In French, service became serf and was used for a slave who belonged to a piece of land rather than to an individual serf. Has continued to mean this in both French and English, although serfs themselves no longer exist. All right. He wants to say, oh, Poles, the Slavs, they're just going to try to slay the Slavs. And well, what does this marker say, this historical marker? It says the first Poles arrived. Huh? Skilled craftsmen of Polish origin, recruited by the Virginia Company, began arriving in Jamestown aboard the Mary and Margaret about the 1st of October, 1605. Poles contributed to the development of a glass factory and the production of potash, naval stores, and wood products. Soon, samples of their work were shipped back to England. The workers were so highly prized that they were assigned apprentices so that their skills shall not die with them. Captain John Smith praised their work ethic in his writings. Court records indicate that as a result of a labor dispute, Poles were granted full voting rights on the 21st of July, 1619. All right, so they probably had to fight for them because they didn't come from a Christian nation. So they would be slaves, all right, of or pertaining to Poland, all right, Polish, in case you didn't know who the Poles were, my nigga. In case you don't know where they're from, Eastern Europe. You see it? I zoomed in for you. I even kept the time right for you. Talking about the 1700, the Poles. Well, you recruited them. Well, how you recruit some motherfuckers in the middle of the Caucasus Mountains? Oh, I see how you recruited them. Oh, those are Arabs on the screen. Yeah, the Arabs niggas hate. Arab slave traders on the screen. Get a good look at those guys. So you have three types of slaves: those who are captured and sold, factory workers, and sex slaves. All right? There's a Dominican priest asking for the liberation of Christian slaves in Algiers. Oh, that's why the Christians can be free. All right, but you're going to free the little Circassians. You're so in love with them. All right, they were in bondage. Now let's make it more contemporary for something you can understand. I know you're a big fan of Prince. All right, are indentured servants and slaves the same? Was Prince ever a slave? He's got books, The Slave Trade by Prince, slave written all over his face. What does that mean? All right. In the build-up to the release of the Gold Experience, Prince and Warner were at loggerheads over both money and his music. He decided to take the battle public by appearing with the word, quote, slave, written on the side of his face. His argument was that he was signed to Warner, and they, as a result, owned and controlled his name, as well as many music releases under that name. He changed his name to that of a symbol and was referred to variously as Symbol, Squiggle, or the artist formerly known as Prince, excuse me. This coincided with George Michael's ill-fated attempt to get out of the contract with Sony, which he had termed, quote-unquote, professional slavery, meaning the record label had serious PR battle on their hands that they could not afford to lose. Unable to break free completely, Prince fulfilled the term of his contract with a rapid run of albums, some of which were regarded as shameless purging of studio tapes and offcuts just to make up the numbers. So even in modern day times, people understand the concept of indentureship. All right. And that it is slavery. Or should I say that it is the grandson of slavery? And again, I want to reiterate, the problem here is my opponent does not grasp the English language. And I'll land my plane there.
You still have 8 minutes left.
8 minutes? Well, how about this? I have something. We'll do something a little entertaining for you. This is 7 minutes. Let's see. Let's take another look at indentureship.
After taking them from India to work in overseas colonies, most would.
We don't hear anything if you're playing audio. You need to reshare your live stream with the audio.
Have a look at this record of Indian immigrants. These are the names of Indians who signed an indenture contract and boarded a ship from Calcutta on December 2nd, 1903. It's an agreement between you and your employer that you will work for a particular number of years. As soon as they signed that contract, the indentured worker lost much of their freedom. They were treated like human cargo, shipped around the world and bound to their employer for the time period of their contract. They were bought, sold, overworked, and abused in ways far too similar to slavery. Here's how it all went down. By the end of the 1800s, the British Empire was growing to the biggest the world had ever seen. And the natural resources of the colonies, like sugar and cotton, earned the colonizers a lot of money. But labor costs the world had ever seen.
And I just want to pause that for a moment, because the British Empire is in red, folks. All right, so get a good look at America and South America, so you know the British Empire and these foolish laws that he thinks someone is living by had no bearing on the American Indian, allegedly.
And the natural resources of the colonies, like sugar and cotton, earned the colonizers a lot of money. But labor costs started eating into Britain's massive profits after slavery was abolished. And that's when the British brought in indentured Indians. There were more than 3 million people like Maria's great-grandfather taken from their homes and placed on ships heading to British colonies. The overall trade for these cheap laborers replaced nearly a quarter of the Atlantic slave trade. What has taken place is a retelling of the history of the 19th century that focuses on the abolition of the slave trade and lauds those involved in the abolition of the slave trade, but does not draw attention in any way to the fact that the system of slavery was replaced by a system which was very brutal.
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
And lasted into the 20th century. The vast majority of indentured workers were from India. As a result of indenture and additional migration, pockets of the Indian community can now be found in nearly every corner of our globe. Over 32 million people of Indian origin live outside of India today, the world's largest diaspora.
India might actually be a kind of replacement for Africa. Think of this from the planter's point of view. They can't imagine a world that will deny them a source of labour, cheap, malleable labour.
In 1838, the first Indian indentured labourers arrived in Guyana. 32 million people of Indian origin live outside of India today. 32 million people of Indian origin live outside of India today. The world's largest diaspora.
India
Frequently lied about what the terms of the indenture contract were, the distance of the place that people were traveling to, and the nature of the work that they would have to perform. You can't read or write, but they tell you the contract provides round-trip passage to Calcutta, India, where you...
Wait a minute. Not a coincidence. Think these people honoring contracts with some illiterate motherfuckers? Wait, this is different. So these illiterate people is just they're just putting a finger on a contract, my nigga. They're slaves, bro. They're chattel.
put in light labor in exchange for great wealth to bring back to your family. Like more than 2 million other Indians, you stamp your finger and take the deal. In 1886, my great-grandfather was recruited in Gonda. He was taken to Faizabad. From then, he was taken to Calcutta as an indentured laborer. What they didn't tell you is you're not really going to Calcutta. You're transferred from depots to shipyards, perhaps told your final destination would be Sri Lanka. But your ocean voyage keeps going and going. The ship itself is rancid, and you are crowded alongside parcels of rice, wheat, and hundreds of other laborers deep within the cargo deck. Your voyage could have been one that was fraught with deaths from cholera, for example, typhoid, dysentery. It would have been quite traumatic for the immigrants. You are lucky to survive the diseases that kill roughly 1 in 5 of your fellow passengers. Your peers bond over the shared trauma and call themselves the Jahaji Bai, or Brotherhood of the Boat. 3 months later, you arrive in an unfamiliar land, and someone tells you it is known as British Guyana, a British colony thousands of miles away from home. He left Calcutta for Guyana, and he indentured for 2 periods of 5 years on 2 estates in Demerara. This arrival story is way too familiar for the tens of millions of descendants of Indian indenture. Hundreds of thousands of people were taken from China, Japan, and Polynesia as well, forming an extracted community known as coolies, a term that's now an offensive slur. The laborers were shipped across 19 of Britain's colonies, namely in the Caribbean and South Africa. The Dutch and French also took advantage of the cheap labor for their own plantations. Indentured labor was used to cultivate sugar, cotton, and tea, as well as endless train tracks.
Black cigars, we smoking purple, make a wish upon a red star.
And there's an incredible excitement about you. Something very powerful.
Hey, bitch, come here. Shut your motherfucking name, come here. Mr. Trying to tell me.
Tribe.
All right, you got 5 seconds left to your round. I guess we're gonna get ready to get into not a coincidence round. This was a fire one.
I want my 5 seconds. I want my 5 seconds. I'm petty. Share my screen.
Shout out to my brother. Shout out to my brother, man. This was some heat, man. Yo, I see y'all going crazy in the chat. Y'all going crazy. Y'all put who y'all got winning this round in the chat, y'all. Y'all put y'all 1-0s in the chat. Let me know who y'all got going in 1-0 into the second round, you guys. I will put the official poll up at the end of the 3rd round, you guys. Not a coincidence, bro. Fight back, bro. What we doing? You ready? You got your 5-minute rebuttal ready?
Yeah, I got some.
All right, I'm starting you. Let me know when you're ready, brother.
Hold on.
You on the screen?
Yeah, so really, Hawk School, he cheated the people, right? He came out in the beginning. He made reference to indentured servants, and then he just stuck to servant. That's all he wanted to say. The servant. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about indentured servants. Indentured servants had contracts, just like we seen in the video he showed. They had contracts. He wanted to allude to, those they don't have to honor them, right? He cheated y'all. He played a 8-minute video. He's not even prepared, right? So they alluded to that. They didn't have to follow those contracts. Says who? Did he show you? So he could just say it and that makes it true? Come on, we got to do better. We're in a debate. We got to do better than I'm the source, right? He left out the word indentured on the whole servant thing. He gave 7 minutes of servant and left out indentured. I guess he forgot what the title of the debate was. Indentured, adjective, is describing the servant. Required by contract to work. Required by contract to work for another, for a certain period of time. Required to work for another for a certain period of time. This is simple. He doesn't want to get into that. What he did was just talked about servants. That's it. Here we go. Again, indentured servants, a person who signs and is bound by indenture to work for another for a specified time, especially in return for payment of travel expenses and maintenance. So when we talk about a servant, yeah, you can call a servant and a slave, but those things they go together. They're describing work. Slaves, if he knows the history, he knows that the overseer, the indentured servant, and the slave is basically doing the same type of work. But it's what class of people are they, right? The slave has no rights. The indentured servant has rights, which I'm going to get into in my next round. But all he did was leave off the word indentured servant. I hope y'all paid attention, right? In the video, right, they replaced, it said they replaced slavery with indentured servant. If they're the same, why are you replacing something? It's like he's trying to throw the debate. His video agreed with me. It literally said they replaced slavery with indentured servitude. So how is he not agreeing with me? I'm ready. I'm about to pull
You
it
get
up.
into your
That's my rebuttal.
You got 1 minute and 28 seconds left. So we got you locked and loaded to get into your second round, bro. Starting the beginning of the second round. Not a coincidence. Let's go, you guys. Turn up, man. Drop them fire emojis in the chat, man. These brothers coming out hard. That was a great rebuttal. You ready? Let me know when you're ready to screen share.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I don't see your screen.
Oh, hold on. Okay.
All right, you put up on the screen.
All right. All right, I'm ready?
Yeah, it's on the screen. Ready to go.
Here we go. So again, there's distinctions with these things, right? We're going to go over a couple things, right? Let's see something. Right, so we got the distinction, right, which Hawk School is failing to make, right? He just gave y'all servant. So the act of perceiving someone or something as being not the same and often treated as separate or different. So that's what we're going to get into. Like I showed you just recently, the differences, right? These people coming in Christian without indenture, they get the contract, they serve 5 years. These people coming in not from Christian places, they become slaves, right? The 1705 Act concerning slaves. What did Hawk School show y'all? Nothing. He showed y'all a video for 8 minutes. And before that, he just tried to do the runaround with words, but didn't give you no real examples. I showed you indentured servant contracts where they talk about, where they specifically say, listen, this is an agreement. I want to see these slave agreements. And don't try to say he did like he tries to try to pull with his video. The video literally said they replaced slavery with indentured servant. So the question is, how is that the same? It can't be the same. They're talking about they replaced it. So this is another part of the act concerning servants and slaves, 1705. Like we talk about law. Law is real. Not the screenshots he showed you of Prince, right? Trying to say, what are you trying to say? Prince was a slave, right? Get out of here. That man was touring the world, living his life, right? He didn't like his record label contract, as much money he was making for people. So he did things in his own way. So Act concerning servants and slaves, 1705. This is number 7. So here we're going to get into these distinctions of how a servant and a slave is not the same. Because in laws, they make this distinction, just like the title, servants and slaves. Just like his video said, they replace slavery with indentured servitude. How is it the same, Hawks? This is number 7 said. That all masters and owners of servants, now you hear it, the word servants, shall find and provide their servants wholesome and competent diet, clothing, and lodging by discretion of the county court, and shall not at any time give immoderate correction. Right? So you can't be excessive with them. Right? You might be able to slap them on the side of the head, but you can't do nothing that's going to cause any harm. Right? This is a distinction. Right? We see that this is different treatment. This is differential treatment right here. Shall not give immoderate correction. Neither shall at any time whip a Christian white servant naked. It make sure to tell you, white servant naked, without any order from the justice of the peace. By this act provided for servant complaints to be heard, provided complaint be made within 6 months after such whipping. So these indentured servants, remember, I just showed you in Act 1. I mean, what is it? I just showed you here. Let's go. Right? Act 1, it tells you these servants who coming in, if they don't got an indenture, give them one. So we already know that when they talking about servants, they're talking about indentured servants because they talk about it in Act 1. This is the same thing. Right? So you can't, first it tells you, look, you got to give them wholesome and competent diet. You just can't feed them. Don't give them anything. Give them what you're going to eat. Wholesome and competent diet, clothing, and lodging. Right? And the court is gonna say what is good. We're not gonna leave that up to you. Right? By the discretion of the county court. And shall not at any time give immoderate correction. We're gonna see when they talk about slaves, how they talk about dealing with them. These are these distinctions that we're talking about. Hawk School can't show you that because in the Hawk School's world, it doesn't exist. Right? In the 1700s, guess what? Everything was hard labor. Everybody needed to work. There was no y'all like to think there was electricity. I don't know what y'all think, what was going on back then, but it was manual labor. Right? What does number 8 say? That all servants not being slaves. We can just pause right there. Debate should be over. This is in law. Yeah, this is in Virginia because this is what we're talking about, America. See, he's a Moor, right? But he's one of those. He thinks that he's from North African Moor on the low, but then tries to put it over here. Listen, we're talking about America, right? Number 8, that all servants not being slaves, whether imported or become servants of their own accord. So we're talking about people who's doing this on their own will. They're agreeing to do this. Here or bound by any court or church wardens shall have their complaints received by a justice of peace. So these indentured servants, if they're not getting treated right or their contracts are not being upheld, what can happen? They can go to the justice of peace and get their things heard. Court school try to slide in. Oh, nobody's saying that those contracts are honored. Well, if they're not, guess what? They have a pursuit for justice for that. They have a way about going about that. Again, this is in the act concerning servants and slaves. This is in number 34. Right? Hawk schools, you're not showing you any law. He showed you prints with the word, with him writing slave on his face. Showed you an 8-minute video of them admitting that slavery and indentured servitude is not the same, because they said one replaced the other. Number 34, if any slave resists his master or owner or other person. Now, why come they're not using the word servant? Because indentured servant and slave is not the same. That's why. This is law. These people know what they're talking about. Or owner or other person by his or her order correcting such slave shall happen to be killed in such correction. It shall not be accounted a felony, but the master, owner, and every such other person so given correction shall be free and acquit of all punishment and accusation for the same, as if such incident had never happened. Now, what we see over here, if a servant get whipped right here, what can they do? They can go to the court. They got up to 6 months. They got 6 months to go to the court and make their complaints. Look, the act of concerning servants, if he just happens to get killed, why are you correcting him? Oh, well, just act like it never happened. So is Hawk School really trying to say that this is the same? How is this the same treatment? One, if he gets whipped, first of all, you can't even beat him like that, because it says give immoderate correction. You shall not at any time give immoderate correction. At any time give immoderate correction. But here, if you happen to kill him, and this is in the same act where they're making these distinctions. That's why I started off with the definition, distinction. Right? We started here. The act of perceiving someone or something as being not the same, and often treating as separate or different. And what are we seeing here? Differential treatment. Right? One, you can come in here. You don't got a contract, we'll give you one. You do your 5 years, and you go about being a good citizen. The other, if you come from a non-Christian place, no, you're going to be a slave. Why are they not being a servant? Why? Because it's not the same thing. Here, servants, 1705 Act concerning servants and slaves. The title gives a distinction. That's why I started off with distinction. Here, you can't even beat them. Here, you can kill them. Act like nothing happened. Here, their complaints will be received. It says, shall have their complaints received by a justice of peace. Here, nobody cares. Slaves. Indentured servant, two different things.
10 minutes, brother. 10 minutes.
Again, this is an act about the casual killing of slaves. 1669. This dude, he's over here showing you stuff from now, trying to act like this is the same. This is the same conversation. Meanwhile, we had the conversation about, he said, time frame. He asked me, told him 1865 and before. Cool. What does he do? He shows you prints. He shows you this coolie Indian indentured servant trade, which in the video they admit themselves. You can't overlook these things. His own source killed him. So it says, be it enacted and declared by his grand assembly that if any slave resists his master, don't say servant, any slave resists his master, or other by his master's order correcting him, and by the extremity of the correction shall chance to die, that his death shall not be accompanied of felony. Again, if something happens to a slave, oh well, you're not going to get in trouble for it. We can act like it never happened. But you touch one of them indentured servants, you're going to court. And you're going to have to pay if you're found guilty. Shall not be accompanied of felony, but the master or that other person appointed by the master to punish him be acquitted from molestation, since it cannot be presumed that prepense malice, which alone makes murder felony, should induce any man to destroy his own estate. Remember, I told you, slavery was property, chattel slavery, property of another. What did they say here in 1669? If you happen to kill him, oh well, we know you didn't do it on purpose, because who would destroy his own property? This is the difference between indentured servants and slaves. The difference is, like I just explained, these indentured servants can go to court. If they felt like they're treated wrong, they can go to court. Slaves cannot. They have rights. One doesn't. It's the court ruling on Anthony Johnson. How much time I got?
I'll let you know when you get to 5 minutes. You got 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Right. I'll let you know when you get to 10 and when you get to 5.
All right. So again, Hulk School, he didn't come here prepared. He's not giving you any real history, right? He's just up here talking. So it's the court ruling on Anthony Johnson and his servant, 1655. On March 8, 1655, the Northampton County Court ruled in favor of Anthony Johnson, a free man of African descent, when he was accused of keeping an indentured servant as a slave. Right? This is the record. This is the Northampton County deeds, wills, etc., March 8, 1654. So, in this court ruling in 1655, a Negro called John Kaser came to this deponent and told him that he came into Virginia for 7 or 8 years per indenture, per his contract. So this man's fighting for his freedom. He's saying that, look, and again, I told you, these servants can go to court. This is a black man. He's taking another black man to court. He's saying, listen, I was supposed to be indentured for only 7, 8 years. And that he had demanded his freedom of his master Anthony Johnson, and further said that Johnson had kept him, his servant, 7 years longer than he ought. So he kept him over his time. This man's in court because I told you that they have these rights, and desired that his deponent would see that he might have no wrong. Whereupon your deponent demanded of Anthony Johnson his indenture. He answered he never saw any. So Anthony Johnson said, listen, I never seen his contract. I never seen it. The said Negro, John Casey, replied, he came for the certain time and had an indenture. So John Casey's like, he's insisting, I had an indenture contract. Again, if slavery and indentures the same, why are they having this conversation? Anthony Johnson said he never did see any, but that he had him for his life. Meaning, look, there is no contract. I got him for my life. That's my slave. The court seriously considered and maturely weighing the premises, though find that the said Mr. Robert Parker most unjustly kept the said Negro from Anthony Johnson, his master, and apprehended by the deposition of Captain Samuel Goldsmith in many probable circumstances. It is therefore a judgment of the court and ordered that the said John's case or Negro forthwith return unto the service as his said master, Anthony Johnson. And this is how the first, what they call the first slave on record. He gets sentenced to life. He doesn't have an indenture. He becomes a slave. But the key here is what? He had a chance to go to court. The rights that they had. How much time I got?
You got 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right. Let's go back over some things. Like I said, it's important to remember the distinction, right? The act of perceiving someone or something as being not the same, right? We're looking at these indentured servants. We're looking at these slaves. What am I showing you? I'm showing you in court records and laws how these people are treated differently. Excuse me. How they're treated different, right? 1705, they're talking about Christians coming in without contracts, give them one, 5 years, and then they free. But people coming in from non-Christian places, they become slaves, right? Again, these white Christians, you can't touch them. Definitely can't beat them naked. If they're not getting food, if they're not getting housed right, if they're not getting treated right, they can go up to court. They can go to court, right? They tell you that all servants, not being slaves, which may give you the distinction right there. Servants and slaves is not the same. This is in law. He wants to give you these today definitions. We ain't dealing with today. Also here, we see they use the word slave. This is number 34 in an act concerning servants and slaves. What does it say? Any slave is this. They don't say servant, or they don't say any slave, any servant, and then like they said over here, not being slaves. So we understand the distinction. They're talking about slaves here. You can kill these slaves. You can't touch these servants. Just like his video said, they replaced slavery with indentured servitude, meaning it's not the same. Who's he trying to fool?
What do you say? Not a coincidence?
So much they did it. They got
you cut out like 30. You cut out like a couple seconds.
Oh shit. Well, what I was saying was the distinction made is clear here. We got the white Christians can't be touched. The white Christian servants can't be touched. Negro slaves can be killed. And if they are, act as if it never happened. Here, they say, look, the Negro, the slave is property. So if you happen to destroy your property, you kill him, we don't think you would do it on purpose. It wasn't by malice. So these distinctions is made. Right? Even with the court case. Anthony Johnson was accused of keeping an indentured servant as a slave. That was the accusation in the court. The guy got to go, John Kasor got to go to court. He got ruled against him, but he got to go to court. He becomes a slave. But his argument was he had an indenture, meaning he had a contract, meaning he can get free at some point in time. These are the distinctions. Word, I'm gonna end my round right there.
All right, you got 45 seconds left. It was a good round, man. Shout out to Not a Coincidence. Coming in solid, man, for a second round, man. That was some heat. Not a coincidence. Hawk School, fight back. You got a rebuttal. 5-minute rebuttal going into it right now. This is a dope ass debate. A lot of information, y'all. Hopefully it ain't going over your heads. Make sure y'all take some time to observe the information. We're about to get ready to get into Hawk School rebuttal, then get into his 20-minute round, second round. After the second round, we'll take a quick break for you guys to use the bathroom. Hawk School, you ready for your 5-minute rebuttal?
Tribe.
All right.
Well, you know, he keeps talking about these laws, all right? And we'll bring the map up again and let you know that this is not the world, all right? But again, he seems to just overlook the fact that it says, neither shall at any time whip a Christian white servant naked, all right? Without an order from justice of the peace. They got to do some paperwork, not a coincidence, all right? They're not safe from getting a naked Christian white ass beat. They just got to have an order. They got to go get an order. You acting like they so motherfucking safe, my nigga. But they ain't safe. You know what I'm talking about? They ain't no safer than nobody else. And we know that to be a fact. They can't even go anywhere. All right. And you want to, like I said, this isn't the world. This is a small little colony. And you talking about the laws and and what they can do. Bro, look at this map. You know where Virginia is? That wasn't the only system. Yeah, it was an alcalde system. All right. The word alcalde originally was used for simple judges in Andalusian Arabic, only later was implied to the presiding municipal magistrate. All right, because these starving ass clampets you talking about can't have no court. This nigga got 2 pots of dirt to send back to London. He is begging for them to send him some draws, my nigga. Where he having court at? All right. This early use continued to be reflected in other uses, such as alcaldes del crimen, the judges in the audiences, alcaldes de la casas. All right. And these are the constables. These are the mayors, the judges. This is where the mayoral system in America that we have now comes from. Who are the alcaldes? They're the Mayans. That's not real. And what? Bro, come on. What did you show? A slide that you Africans have been passing around to each other for God knows how long? All right. It says that all servants imported and brought into this country by sea and land who were not Christian in their native countries. All right. So, yeah, they signed an indenture back in England or wherever the fuck. But if they wasn't Christian in their native country, guess what? Well, you a slave as soon as you touch down. All right. Because it's the same shit. We ain't got no contract. And how the fuck is they going to honor a contract, or you going to know if they honor a contract when these motherfuckers can't even read or write? They're illiterate, bro. They're illiterate. All right, let's look. And this will go into my second round in just a second, but we're going to look into some of these sources that he say we don't have. I learned from one of my fellow servants. All right. This is a first-hand account. All right. His fellow servants. He was wretched. For I had no object of a rational desire. I was a slave. All right. And the laws held out no prospect of emancipation. He refers to himself as a servant and a slave. All right. Who is this? Well, they don't have any sources. They don't have any real sources. What are you talking about, bro? I read the whole book. All right. These people are, what did it say? It is enacted that all servants, they're going to be what? They're going to be deemed and taken to be slaves. They're ripping up the contracts. To be sold, a servant girl. All right. Often the sale of human beings was advertised in the same space as other goods. In this case, a roan-colored mare. So they selling this servant girl the same place they selling horses. We selling horses and we got a white bitch. August 19th, 1762, Pennsylvania Gazette. All right. Again, I'm going to reiterate, all servants imported and brought into this country. That means when a nigga come out Indian country and come into Virginia, well, you a slave now, nigga. All right. Because this is a racist colony. Just arrived in York, the brilliant Captain Miller from London with a cargo of choice, healthy, indentured servants for sale. Bro, these people are not chattel. They're for sale, bro. Virginia Gazette, May 19th, 1774. Just arrived in York, the brilliant captain. All right. That's what we just read, just in case you wanted to know where it came from. All right. It's courtesy of the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, available online from the Smithsonian Institute. All right. They're on sale. Fresh, choice, healthy. We got them. All right. We got them for cheap. We selling them. Be sold at Newcastle. A number of English and Irish men and women servants. All right. They're for sale. They're on the block. Pennsylvania Journal, July 3rd, 1766. All right. So you keep singing a sad song for these slaves, but you can't save them. And we're going to get more into it.
All right, you got 5 seconds left. You ready to get into your second round?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, you guys, here we go. Bottom of the second, man. Closing out the second. Getting into the third. Here go Hawk Schools. Second round. Whenever you start, I'm hitting the time.
Yeah, I'm ready. All right, so here we're still going round and round. Well, they have a contract, bro. Ain't nobody respecting these people contracts. All right, it's written about. Let's again. We're gonna review this letter because I think it went over your head. All right, I think it really went over your head when we just read the letter and told you how they was living. All right, you just don't want these people to be the cotton pickers. Right? You don't want them to be the ones picking cotton. Is that what it is? Is that the problem? You have a problem with them in the field picking cotton? Let's get it back into this slide. Servants for sale. Servants, indentured servants. All right, they're for sale. You talking about these contracts? Where's their end of the contract? All right, where's their end of the contract? And the reason I showed that is so you can see how it was ripped to show. You know, that's how the indentured contracts were made. All right, because one person was supposed to have the other end. But this is a negotiation with England, bro. All right, we're not in England, bro. Niggas ain't living in motherfucking England. Niggas ain't under Britain, as I already showed and proved with the map. All right. European claims in America 1700. You talking about up here. Look at all these Indians all over here. We just saw the Mayan Alcaldes. Where these niggas got to go to court? What is you talking about? Who enslaving them? Because they're the magistrates. So what is you talking about? All right, we're gonna get back into one of these poor ass letters. All right, because I don't think you heard how my nigga was living, and just to show and prove that it is just his condition. All right, because you talking about, oh, they have to live a certain way, and they're giving this and they're giving that. You know, and just for the record, the coolies is from 1838 when they first started sending them in. All right, Hennis statute. Oh yeah, see, because they can't go anywhere. An act prohibiting servants to go abroad without a license. All right, so again, they have to have a license to leave, just like their owner, their overseer, has to have a license to whip they naked Christian white ass, which you just saw. All right, and this is from Memoirs of a Fugitive Slave. I mean, where's his highlight? Let's get his highlight up here. His highlight moment. All right. At this time, I prided myself upon my color as much as any other Virginian of them all. And although I had found by a bitter experience that a slave, whether white or black, is still a slave, and that their master, heedless of his victim's complexion, handles the whip with perfect impartiality, still, like my poor mother, I thought myself of a superior caste. So he thinks he's better than niggas because he's white. Not a coincidence told him, you're white, you're better than everybody. And he was believing it. All right. And how would have felt it a degradation to put myself on a level with those a few shades darker than myself? The silly pride had kept me from forming intimacies with the other slaves? No, with the other servants. Oh, they're different. They're not the same. What the fuck this nigga just said in his own words? All right. The White Slave, or Memoirs of a Fugitive, a story of slave life in Virginia. All right. Oh, they don't have no. Well, Harvard. Let's get to Harvard. Knowing a primary source when you see one, not a coincidence. A primary source provided firsthand testimony and direct evidence concerning a topic under investigation, not those old slideshows you're showing us that somebody retyped. All right. You haven't shown us any primary sources at all, actually. All right. Often these sources are created at the time when the events or conditions are occurring. All right. Like these books that we got that have been actually printed in these times. They have copyright dates in them. All right. For instance, the history of Virginia in 4 parts. This is 1855. All right. See, these are primary sources, according to Harvard, not according to me. All right. But you always want to challenge our ability to recognize primary sources. So we're going to get that out of the way. Often these sources are created at the time when the events or conditions are occurring, but primary source can also include autobiographies, memoirs, and oral histories recorded later. Primary sources are characterized by their content regardless of the format available. Handwritten notes could be published. The published book might be digitized or put on a microfilm, but those notes are still primary sources in any format. So I guess they'll grade you on a curve there. All right. We'll let you say you got a primary source. Harvard will let you have it. But you can't pretend that the history of Virginia, 4 parts. What? Yeah. The governor of who? Bro, we living like we got the fruits of Eden in here, bro. All right? Fruit everywhere. They want to come in here and try to rob us. All right? Because we're in this perfect world. The Indians are of the middling and largest stature of The English, they are straight and well proportioned, having the cleanest and most exact limbs in the world. They are so perfect in their outward frame that I never heard of one single Indian that was either dwarfish, crooked, bandy-legged, or otherwise misshapen. But if they have any such practice among them as the Romans had of exposing such children till they died as were weak and misshapen at their birth, they are very shy of confessing it, and I could never yet learn that they had. So ain't nothing wrong with these niggas over here unless they killing the retarded babies, all right? Because I haven't seen any. Their color when they are grown up is chestnut brown, all right, and tawny, all right? Oh, yeah. I told you it's going to be one of them ones, all right? This is primary sources, all right? The Indians, their religion, laws, and customs. What you talking about? We don't give a fuck about these people laws you talking about in this little-ass colony? The method of the Indian settlement is altogether by cohabitation in townships from 50 to 500 families in a town. We don't give a fuck about these starving ass honkies and they laws they making up. And each of these towns is commonly a kingdom, all right? Sometimes one king has the command of several of these towns when they happen to be united in his hands by descent or conquest. But in such cases, there is always a vicegerent appointed in the dependent towns who is at once governor, judge, the alcalde. Well, what about the laws? They making laws. Boy, don't nobody give a fuck about their laws, bro. What that got to do with us? You ain't see, let me show you the map again. All right? This Indian country, brother. What you talking about they laws? We running this motherfucker. They the slaves. Where this boy starving ass story at? All right? You talking about something. Bruh, stop playing, bro. All right? You can't save them. It's too late. All right? This silly pride had kept me from forming intimacies with the other servants, either male or female, for I was decidedly whiter than any of them. It had too justly enough exposed me to ill will, of which I had more than once felt the consequences, but which had not yet wholly cured me of my folly. All right? So I'm a racist slave. What's wrong with me, Lord? Save me from myself. All right? This is what he's saying in his own memoirs. This is his memoirs. I can't make this shit up. All right? It's his life. That's how they living. But you want to erase this. You want to pretend that slave has nothing to do with slave. That we didn't just see that slave is the grandfather of servant when we're dealing with it on a linguistic level. It means the same thing as what I'm showing you. I'm showing you that even if you're a servant, you'll get your naked white ass beat. You're going to get put on this ship. We're going to send you wherever the fuck we want. We're going to work you the hours we want. You know what I'm talking about? So what are you saying? It baffles me, bro. It baffles me that you can't comprehend this when we've went over several other words. All right. That is the exact same thing as an indentured servant. All right. He's a wretched. This is his memoirs. Had no object of hope or rational desire. I was a slave, and the laws held out no prospect of emancipation. Now, what we just heard him say that he was a servant. All right. His fellow servants. About this time, Miss Caroline, Colonel Moore's eldest daughter, returned from Baltimore, where she had been living for several years with an aunt who superintended her education, blah, blah, blah. I learned from one of my fellow servants that she was the daughter of Colonel Moore by a female slave who for a year or two had shared her master's favor jointly with my mother, but who had died many years since. So they're just changing the laws. That's all this shit, man. Ain't nothing different. All this time, I prided myself upon my color as much as any other Virginian. All right? He's just another slave, just another poor slave. And these laws tell you, all you got to do is go, did you talk to the justice of the peace before you beat this naked Christian white bitch? Did you talk to the justice of peace? You thought it was funny. All right. And if any, notwithstanding this act, shall presume to whip a white servant naked without an order. All right. You don't know how to read contracts. You're going to accept that. So if it's legal for your job to have a court order to
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
If it's legal for them to have a court order to beat you, are you going to just keep your job? You're not a slave. And I brought Prince to let you know that these people still think they're enslaved by contract. All right? They still think they're enslaved because they're being controlled. We saw that on the actual definition. All right. What don't we understand about the definition? Do we have to go back? A person was considered the property of another person. You just said that they're inherited. It literally says a slave as in servant, as in a servant. How is this not the same, bro? What language is this? All right. Opposite of a servant is a master. How is that not a slave? Do I not know how to speak English because they got some contract with a finger on it that they can't read? A servant, also a slave, also a slave. Round and round we go. All right. They're slaves, bro. What don't you get? You want to ignore it. Crazy to me. Something else I wanted to show you. Some more reading because we do got another book. Now, this is a comparison, all right? And this is S.U. Downs, the late Democratic senator from Louisiana, in an elaborate and carefully prepared speech where he actually is saying that the slaves in the South are living better than the white laborers in the North. All right. And you're talking about how bad people live in. These extracts are not taken from obscure prints or obscure men. They are from the active, influential papers and influential men who led the Democratic Party. The Washington Union, the national organ of the Democratic Party, says that the honest and heroic free laboring men of Kansas are a miserable, blear-eyed rabble who have been transferred like so many cattle to that country. Democratic senator from Louisiana, in an elaborate and carefully prepared speech published in the Washington Globe, says, I call upon the opponents of slavery to prove that the white laborers of the North are as happy, as contented, or as comfortable as the slaves of the South. In the South, the slaves do not suffer 1/10 of the evils endured by the white laborers of the North. These are the people you're talking about making all these laws. All right. Poverty is unknown to the Southern slave, for as soon as the master of slaves becomes too poor to provide for him, he sells them to others who can take care of them. See, it's work, it's jobs. We control that. All right. Nigga, I ain't got no work for you, but my cousin do. It's that simple. This, sir, is one of the excellencies of the system of slavery, and this is the superior condition of the Southern slave over the Northern white laborer. All right. So he's just going on to say that they're living in a worse condition. Christian slaves. All right. And I just thought this was interesting because it says West India Islands. All right. In one of the laws I have brought with me, you have to attest that you haven't brought anyone imported from Africa or the West India Islands. Well, I thought India, yeah, that's in your laws. You see how y'all be fucking up the narrative, talking too much. All right, and we're gonna get into on the third round. We're gonna get into this Austin Stewart, 22 years a slave, 40 years a freeman. All right, his book written by him. All right, we could spin a few more blocks getting into this white boy getting his ass beat in Virginia. All right. You want to tell us all these people are in control? And here's just a little more proof of how these white slaves plan to overthrow. This is the adventures of Thomas Pellow. All right. And here you even see I was kept 40 days longer in prison on my refusing to put on Moorish habit, but I at length reflected that to refuse this any longer was very foolish obstinacy, since it was a thing indifferent in its own nature, seeing I had already been compelled to give my assent to Mohammedism. Therefore, rather than undergo fresh torments, I also complied with it, appearing like a Mohammedan, and make no doubt, but some ill-natured people think me so even to this day.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
I pray God to forgive them, and that it may never be their mishap to undergo the like trials of which, if it should, that they may maintain their Christian faith no worse than I did mine. All right, he's enslaved. All right, I was now delivered once more from my prison in chains, and at the command of the emperor put to school to learn Moorish language and to write Arabic. All right, so he pretended he was a Muslim, and then he got up out of there. All right, and what did he say? After this, I was put no more to school to learn a language, but immediately into the hands of the Imhaminate Sajir, whose business was to train up and instruct the youth on how they should speak, behave before the emperor and in the war. All right, so he getting the training. He having for such purpose under his care about 600 boys, and with whom I had not been above a fortnight. All right, they little slaves. What did they make them? They made them their alcalde or their captain. Well, this is over in Morocco. They got alcaldes over there. What way, Hawk School? How they got alcaldes over there and he grabbed up? You know? I being now become, as I have already said, one of the emperor's attendants and always ready in obedience to his command and receiving him barehanded and barefooted at his entrance, all right? Or at his going out of palace, I having my head shaved every 8th day for that purpose, and not only his guards treat him with this submissive respect, but with his whole court, all right? So he's talking about subservient, bald head, barefoot, all right? Slave to the Mohammedans. But we're going to overthrow them and kill them, all right? Oh, yeah, they got, no wonder they call these Irish people niggers, all right? Because they over there too, selling these motherfucking slabs, all right? All which I faithfully carried back, and then Captain Tobin sent a letter by one of his passengers going ashore to an Irish merchant residing at Sally. What the fuck is the Irish merchants doing residing at Sally? I thought they was, they just chilling over there in Morocco? I thought all the white people was getting grabbed up. Let's look something up real quick and then we'll end it off. Here, let me see. I'm going to just pull up something quick. If I can, because he said something very interesting, and maybe I might have to cover it in my third round when we get into some more of these books. And he's gonna say, "Oh, he went out into the time period talking about Prince." No, nigga, they still know being in a contract where a motherfucker control you is a slave. All right, and he talking about the fact he talking about factory workers. All right, and now we're gonna talk about the white slave traffic. All right. Here we see again, Philadelphia made a slave in the dives of this city by a giant Mexican Negro, a pretty 23-year-old white girl who came here from Williamsport 2 years ago. Early today, plunged a pair of scissors into the Negro's heart, and he is dying in the hospital. According to the story told by the young woman when she was arraigned, the stabbing followed her being taunted by the Negro with what he had brought her into, before a gathering of Negro men and women, and him telling them that he owned her. She is being held without bail to await the results of the Negro's injury. Mr. Harry Parkins, Assistant U.S. District Attorney in Chicago. All right, white people still being enslaved. Oh, well, that's not the same thing. He talking about factory workers. He's talking about, bro, I'm talking about indentureship, bro. We're talking about slavery. We just identified that slave was broken down into 3 forms as a noun, right? Those who were taken and captured, right? Factory workers and sex slaves. So we just identified all of those, all right, from then to now. From then to now, literally. Now, once again, I'll end on the kids' definition according to Webster. A person who is owned by another person and can be sold at the owner's will. A person who has lost self-control and is controlled by something or someone else. All right. That would be the contract. I land my plane. Peace to the tribes.
Hey, y'all, we going into the third round. That was a fire-ass round, you guys. Shout out to my brother Hawk School. You right on time. You got 28 seconds left too, brother. You was right on time. Shout out to you, man. This is one of the ones, man. I don't know if y'all feeling this. Drop them fire emojis in the chat, man. This is one of the ones. This is one of the ones. We're gonna take a quick break. Y'all go get y'all something to drink, use the bathroom. I know y'all want to miss nothing. We'll be right back. And let's just say 3 minutes. We'll be right back in 2-3 minutes. We'll be right back. See you guys in a second.
Put your hand to the fist. Put your hand to the fist. Put your hand to the fist. Right about now. What's up? We need y'all to ride. For the international head buster anthem. Let's scrap it. Let's scrap it. See you, me, click. still killing everybody. It's like he ain't spite. I knew you didn't want to crawl. I'm about to say, child swing on all of y'all. I'm the beast from the east with the fangs on my teeth. I murder all you in the middle of the street, and I don't give a if you don't like me. Straight knock your ass out in the captivity. Down south I ride, shoot and kill, homicide. If you nothing shout it to the day that I die. We strive, we're tearing heads up, and everywhere we go, we gon' tear that bitch up. We don't give a fuck about having no click. The A got my back and they ain't taking notes. Excuse me, shout it, get the fuck out my face before we get mad and shoot up the whole place. Hey, my mind, the biting my tongue hurt. Murder your ass lyrics and put your face on the shirt. I'm a mother rider cause I thought y'all knew. And I ain't running nothing even if it's 20 of you. I think it's plenty of you that really want to shout it dead. But watch what you said, little shout it, I'm making bread. Got y'all born haters with the hatred blood to mad. I long hang with bust, I run with G's and gas. And shout it, matter of fact, these trill G's be good. We ain't talking behind your back and we ain't scared to bust. I'm by myself, but being alone makes you strong. I stepped up before the dawn, so shout it, I've been grown. We some bad boys, we some bad boys. We'll knock the hater out. We some bad boys, we some bad boys. We some bad boys, we'll knock the hater out. We some bad boys. ATL lock the chain down here. You come with that gap and no action, you gon' disappear. We walk in the club, it's tight like brand knuckle. Your elbow and hater like you jumping up turnbuckle. Beating in your door with the clip on the 10K. Beating down your block in the 89 shit. Tell a stupid boy we throwing bows and we ready. Screaming swing shout at them boy, they can't stand me. Yeah, shout there, I'm an ATL slugger. Knocking out heads on your fucking mouth. Shout if you saying, scrap, you a cool boy. But I know in my heart that I'm a head hustle boy. Head hustle, bad boy. We some bad boy. We'll knock the hater out. We some bad boy. We some bad boy. We some bad boy. We'll knock the hater out. We some bad boy. We some bad boy. We some bad boy. We'll knock the hater out. We some bad boy. We some bad boy. We some bad boy. We'll knock the hater out. We some bad boy.
Yeah. Got some fire emojis in the chat, man. This is a hell of a debate, man. They in here really busting heads, man. Shout out to the two brothers. Not a coincidence in Hawk School, man. This is one of them motherfucking ones, man. Hey, I can't even lie, man. This is one of the ones. Shout out to everybody in the building. If you are enjoying this, drop those fire emojis in the chat. Drop those fire emojis in the chat. Also, man, I put a poll in the chat asking you guys, are you enjoying it? Make sure you hit that poll. 2% people said no, they're not enjoying it. 98% of the people said that they are enjoying it. We do appreciate the brothers and sisters. Hey, man, y'all can always tip the host. They do the most. Goddamn, we always bringing you the news you can use. You feel me? I'm saying? The information, they keep the shit elevated. Goddamn, make sure y'all support the channel, nigga. Y'all already know what's going on. Peace to the goddesses and the gods in the building. Hopefully y'all enjoying it. I appreciate y'all. Let's get right back into it, man. We got the brothers in the building, man. We getting into not a coincidence. Third round. He got a 5-minute rebuttal. Let's make sure everybody's mic is good. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check.
Yo.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Hawk, you good?
Yeah, man, I'm just blowing one. I got the baby in here, so you know I'm on the other line.
All right, for sure. Well, shit, we can make sure you're paying attention. You about to get into his 5-minute rebuttal and get into his round. Let me know when you're ready. Not a coincidence. Are you screen sharing for your 5-minute rebuttal, brother?
Yeah.
All right, I got it pulled up right now.
All right, so there's a reason why Hawk School kind of, he ran past these ads, right? So in these ads, they even tell you, like this is one from the Maryland Gazette. Maryland, Thursday, July 11th, 1765. It says Annapolis, July 11th, Sunday, last arrived here from London after a passage of about 8 weeks. The ship Parks in the Captain David Lewis with some indentured servants and about 90 of His Majesty's passengers for 7 years. Now we're going to get into them terms like Majesty's passengers and redemptioners and things like that in this next round. He's not giving you no substance to what these indentured servants really are, right? He's just saying things that he thinks sound good and running past stuff real fast, not giving you any source. He's not telling you where this stuff comes from, right? The Maryland Gazette. There's another one, July 11th, 1765. Just imported. Captain David, a number of His Majesty's 7-year servants. Again, there's a time frame when they're talking about these servants, these indentured servants. There's a time frame. These are distinctions. When they talk about these slaves, there is no time frame. So another thing he tried to do was he went to this book, The White Slave, or Memoirs of a Fugitive, right? And he conveniently leaves things out. He conveniently leaves things out. Like in chapter 2, right? This is chapter 2 of his book. Had I been allowed to choose my own paternity, could I possibly have selected a more desirable father? But by the laws and customs of Virginia, it is not the father but the mother whose rank and condition determine that of the child. And alas, my mother was a concubine and a slave. Yet those who beheld her for the first time would hardly have imagined or willingly have forgotten that she was connected with an ignoble and degraded race. Humble as her station might be, she could at least boast possession of the most brilliant beauty, the trace of African blood. This is his book, The Trace of African Blood. So, like we're going to see in this third round, how does somebody become a slave? How does somebody become a servant? Right? He's falling right into it. This is perfect teaching stuff, right? So one of these ways a person could become a slave is if, like I said, what I showed you earlier, if you come from a non-Christian place, well, most of Africa was non-Christian, especially these West African places. So this white slave is saying that his mother had traces of African blood, by which her veins was contaminated and was distinctly visible, right? Her mother was a mulatto. She's mixed. She probably had sex with another white man, which made her son even whiter and look whiter, right? She's already mixed. But because she comes from an African woman someday down the line, that's the reason for enslavement. And we're going to get into that. How much time I got left?
You got 1 minute and 20 seconds.
All right. And again, he ran through he ran through his news clippings, because most of them are going to tell you how many years these indentured servants are going to have on their contract. He keeps leaving out the word indenture, right? And that's really it. You just got to pay attention.
You ready to get into the third?
Yeah, hold on. Let me reshare.
All right, man. Drop them fire emojis, y'all. The poll will be coming up at the end of Hawk School round, right before they get into the question and answering round. Make sure y'all lock in. Support the channel, man. Tip the host. Y'all know what's going on, man. Support your brother. Hit that like button, thumb up the video. Support the channel, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button, because we in here today, even though some of y'all ain't supposed to be. Goddamn.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. It's pulled up.
All right. So
Time
let's do a quick recap, right? We see contracts with these indentured servants. They get into these agreements, like this guy James Bracken did, right? Just like This guy, William Buckland, did. He promises 4 years. Just like John Reed Jr. did. He promised himself for 5 years. These are agreements. These are agreements. There's distinctions. Right? Remember my second round, I started off with the word distinction. The act of perceiving someone or something as being not the same and often treating as separate or different. I've been showing you nothing but these people being treated different. So how does one become an indentured servant? We're going to talk about the different ways you can become a indentured servant and the differences between that and a slave. 3 different types of indentured servant agreements existed in the 18th century. Free willers, king's passengers, and redemptionists. Remember, I just showed you that news article that said it was indentured servants and 90 king's passengers, 7 years. Right? Free willing indentured servants decided to come to America on their own merit and willingly signed a contract before departing England. King's passengers, also known as convict servants, so these are the criminals, were criminals who were sent to America to serve a term of 7 or 14 years, depending on the crime they committed. Finally, redemptionists were passengers who were given 2 weeks to redeem the price of their voyage once they got to America. So these people were coming 3 different ways, right? You got the people who were coming on their own merit, willingly signing the contract. These are these indentured servants. Then you got these criminals, right? People committing crimes, and they would get a certain amount of time, usually 7 or 14 years. And then you got the redeemers, the people who said, yo, I ain't got nothing now. I don't got a contract yet, but I'll go over there and find one and I'll pay you back. So here goes another contract, right? Something Hawk School's not showing. He's not showing you any paperwork. He's just floating around the internet taking screenshots, right? This is from Patrick Burke, July 28th, 1739. Be it remembered that Patrick Burke of Dublin, in the Kingdom of Ireland, bookkeeper, his father and mother being dead, did by indenture bearing like date herewith, agree to serve Joseph Wilton. Agree to serve Joseph Wilton of London, Chapman, or his assignment for 4 years in Jamaica in the employment of a bookkeeper at 30 per annual current money of Jamaica, and did declare himself to be then of the age of 18 years of age. A single person, no apprentice, nor covenant, or contract servant to any other persons or person. They're making sure he don't got a contract with nobody else because he agreed to do this with this man. And the said master did thereby covenant at his own cost. So this is an investment to send his said servant to the said plantation and at the like cost to find him all necessary clothes, meat, drink, washing, and lodging as other servants in such cases are usually provided for and allowed, accepted, provided he understands the business of bookkeeper. So contracts, they willingly do this. He agreed to do this for 4 years. Nobody's forcing him. King's passengers, also known as convict servants, right? We have this Maryland Gazette, July 11, 1765. This is what we was just talking about, the convict servants. And here, they call them King's passengers or Majesty passengers. You see them, the convict servants, even they got 7 years. Even they got 7 years. 1765. So, yeah, there's a big difference. Even the people that's committing crimes are still they're not getting life sentences like slaves do. Right? Sunday, last arrived here from London after a passage of about 8 weeks of ship. Captain David Lewis with some indentured servants and about 90. So, told you there's 3 ways to get into these servant statuses, the indentured servant status. You got indentured servants, and you got Majesty's passengers. Look, even they have 7 years. These are the convicts. Then we have redemptionists, right? This is from the Lancaster Journal, December 29th, 1798. So the redemptioner would not sign a contract before leaving, but instead was given a few days upon arrival to find a master to work for. However, if they were unsuccessful, the ship's captain would sell their contract. Yeah, this is what he's trying to talk about. Oh, a contract. Yeah, contracts are worth money, right? These people are in these contracts. It's a service due for a certain amount of time, as if there were an indenture. Many of the redemptionists came from an area that is now part of Germany. Here's an example. A number of healthy German men and women, redemptionists, among which are several mechanics, just arrived in Lancaster and to be sold for a term of, it got cut off, years. So what we see, a term of years. So now it says to be sold for a term of years. So you'll get more details when we get down there. But he's trying to act like these things are the same. We see the distinction.
11 minutes. 11 minutes and 30 seconds.
We see the distinction on how even one becomes an indentured servant. Right? We've seen the three ways. We've seen, let's go back to it. Seen the free willers, the king's passengers, and the redemptionists. I showed you them. They go a free willer. He agrees. They go to convicts. 90 of these convicts come over here to Maryland. They go to redemptionists. Now, how does one become a slave? Kidnapping. We call them slave hunts. Birth, just by being born of a Negro woman. Place of ancestry, coming from a non-Christian country. So look, chains of slaves leaving the interior of Senegal. This from the Library Company of Philadelphia. Books and other texts, rare. In that book, page 40. Having been captured in the country's interior, 6 Senegal slaves were led by 2 European slave traders who carry swords and long spears. The slaves march in a line. Each wears a collar that's attached to a long pole that resists on their shoulders and extends down the line. Right? This is not an indentured servant. This is how slaves are treated. This is the slave hunt. Slave hunt depicts soldiers from Sokoto raiding a village to capture slaves. This was in the Harper's Weekly. It's an American newspaper, September 12, 1857. Right? So there's different ways that you see how you become a servant. You either commit a crime or you willingly come over here. Slaves, they're snatching you up. Negro women's children to serve according to the condition of the mother. 1662. In the act, Negro women children to serve according to the condition of the mother. We just seen how they're kidnapping them, bringing them over here. Serve according to the condition of the mother. Passed the General Assembly in the session of December 1662. Virginia's colonial government attempted to better define the conditions by which people were enslaved or free. This was a reversal of the usual common law presumption. The status of a child was determined by the father. The act enabled the reproduction of one's own labor force. So now, if we, like we showed, if you're coming from a non-Christian place, you can just look at a map and just think about all the non-Christian places, especially back then in the 14, 15, 1600, 1700, 1800. It's going to be America, it's going to be Africa. They're taking people from Africa, bringing them over here, making sure by law that as long as you're born through a woman, just like Hawk School's book show, as long as you're born through a African woman, by blood, you're going to be a slave. They start changing these laws as it goes. Right? So freedom suits. Freedom suits are lawsuits initiated by enslaved people seeking to gain their freedom. They record enslaved people's arguments for freedom, how the individuals came to be enslaved, ancestry of the enslaved person, and relationship between enslaved individuals and slavers. Enslaved men and women sued for emancipation and freedom suits based on the following. They were descendants of a free woman, sometimes either a white or Native American woman. Failure of enslavers to abide by the 1778 Slave Non-Importation Act, or they claim to have been freed by their enslavers by deed of emancipation or last will and testament. So these are different freedom suits that they went through. One was saying that they didn't come through a Negro woman, that they came through a free woman, because the status was you come through your mom. The other was, and they like to say that she was white or Native American, Indian. They say my mom is Indian. Maybe that's where y'all get that from. Here goes a freedom suit. This is from unknown no longer Virginia, right? So it says that whereas so put your petitioner Jane Webb, a free mulatto, formerly Jane Williams, and baptized by the name Jane, your petitioner, mother being a white woman, like I just showed, like I said before, they go to court, they say, hey, my mother's white, that's why I shouldn't be enslaved. And this is in 1711, right? At the request of Thomas Savage, by this letter, Diana Webb, Daniel Webb, and Francis Webb, these are all these women's children. A girl that said a mulatto children. See, now there goes this mix. But these mulattoes, what are they in there saying? My mother's white. Talked about place of ancestry, where you're born. That's what made you a slave. These are distinctions. Earlier, I showed that these people coming from Christian places, they get to be indentured. People coming from non-Christian places, and also being enacted by the authority aforesaid, and it is hereby enacted that all servants imported and brought into this country by sea, land, who were not Christians in their native country, shall be accounted slaves. Right? This is in the 1705, an act concerning servants and slaves. Distinction in the title. I don't know what Hawk School is doing. He's not giving you any sources. He's not giving you anything. On this playback, you'll be able to look at my sources. On his, you can't do none of that. So here's an eyewitness account. Robert Beverly Jr. Right, born
5 minutes and 59 seconds. 5 minutes and 28 seconds.
Born in 1667, died April 21st, 1722. Was a historian of the early colonial Virginia, as well as a planter and politician. So he was there at this time. Beverly had immigrated to Virginia colony from Hull in Yorkshire, England, and became the clerk of the House of Burgesses, in which several of his descendants were served. Thus, Major Beverly founded one of the first families of Virginia during the colonial era. So let's see what he was talking about. He said Robert Beverly of the servants and slaves in Virginia. This is what he wrote, 1722. You can find this on Robert Beverly, The History of Virginia, Part 4, Chapter 10. Sufficient distinctions is also made between the female servants and slaves. Here, distinction right there. For a white woman is rarely or never put to work in the ground, if she be good for anything else, and to discourage all planters from using any women, so their laws make female servants working on the ground titleable, so they're taxable. All right, you want to put it out there, now you got to pay tax. While it suffers all other women to be absolutely exempted. Whereas on the other hand, it is a common thing to work a woman slave out of doors. So here's a distinction. These female servants, if they're white, they don't work them outside. If they're black, hey, it's common to see them working outside. Nor does the law make any distinction in her taxes. So now they said any woman before, but they're not counting the slave as a regular woman, obviously. They're saying you don't got to pay taxes on that slave woman you got working out there, whether her work be abroad or at home. So even if you leave, you don't got to pay taxes. Again, this is from Robert Beverly. Their servants, they distinguish by the names of slaves for life. Again, you can find this Part 4, Chapter 10. He says their servants, they distinguish by the names of slaves for life and servants for a time. Again, I tell you, There goes the distinction. This is an eyewitness account. Distinction between slaves and servants. Slaves are for life. Servants aren't. Slaves are the Negroes and their posterity, following the condition of the mother. This is an eyewitness account. He's telling you, according to the maximum, partus sequetum ventral, they are called slaves in respect of the time of their servitude, because it is for life. Again, slaves are for life. Indentured servant, only for a time period. Servants are those which serve only for a few years, according to the time of their indenture, or the custom of their country. Again, we see the distinctions being made all through history. How much time I got?
You got 2 minutes, brother. 2 minutes.
All right. So again, we got the indentured servant contract, real life contract. You can look them up. Look up James Bracken, who agreed to serve. Look at John Reed, who agreed. Right? We got these deeds where I tell you, slaves, like I said, slaves are chattel property. We got these deeds where they're passed by through in property, and they're named and called slaves, and their children is passed on. Right? We have the laws where these servants have to get good lodging. This is 1705. Number 7, they have to get sufficient lodging, food, clothing, and shelter. Can't beat them. And he wanted to point out, without order, justice of the peace. Cool. But you don't need none of that for the Negro. The Negro, you can go and do what you want. If you kill him, oh well. Because we know a man wouldn't just mess up his own estate, like they said. For malice, they wouldn't just do it for no reason. Should induce any man to destroy his own estate. This is 1699, 1705. What they say, if slaves resist and you happen to kill them in correction, oh well, we'll act like such incident never happened. These are distinctions. Meanwhile, with the indentured servants, what? For one, it says, he forget this part, shall not at any time give in moderate correction. So when you correct them, you got to be easy with it. Now, if you want to give them this, if they just hard-headed, right? They don't want to listen. So you want to take the extra step, you got to go get permission. With the slave, what they said, hey, if any of them resist within correcting, such slave shall happen to be killed in such correction, right? It should not be accounted a felony. And guess what? We'll act like it never happened. So he can't get past these distinctions. I don't know what he's trying to do. And that I guess that's it, man. That's my round.
Uh-oh. Not a coincidence, just came with some heat, y'all. Make sure y'all drop them fire emojis for your brother. Not a coincidence, y'all. For those who came here for the brother and came for the information. And for those that, hey, show them some love. We got my brother Hawk School going in here for his 5-minute rebuttal into the 3rd round, man. The 3rd round. Everybody put the big 3s up in the chat. Here we go. Brother Hawk School, let me know when you're ready, brother.
Yeah, I don't see. Did you X me out of the other screen?
It ain't on here. Yeah, your screen ain't on here, brother. Let me know when you got it ready and get it pulled up. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Let's put some heat. All right, I see it. Let's get it.
Peace. All right, let me see.
It went away. It went away again. It went away again for some reason. I don't know why.
No, this the one right here.
Oh, okay. Just let me know when you're ready.
All right. Yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and just read this letter. That's my rebuttal, you know, because he keeps wanting to talk about these laws, and we'll get into that a little later. Because this is the
Your time
Virginia,
started.
this is the Virginia colony. Like, how many times do I have to tell you, bro? This is one little corner in the world. It don't have nothing to do with all these American Indians that you see on the screen. We already established that. All right, all these tribes, the viceroyalty of New Spain, everywhere you know niggas to be. Are you talking about up here in these 13 colonies, these raggedy, bummy colonies, these starving colonies? All right, starving, bro. All right, but you want to act like, oh, they could do this. Here, man, let me show you what they could do. All right. It's a racist colony, bro. What don't you get? It's kind of troubling to hear you say we have laws, okay? It's not America, bro. It's the Virginia colony, my nigga. It's one little city's laws, bro. And you acting like this is what niggas was living under. All right. It's straight from their site of service as slaves, like you said. All right. Even when they go catch them, they're the servant and slave catchers, my nigga. All right. The only difference is they're called slaves in respect of their time of servitude. And you talking about his mama having African blood, bro. She's white. Yeah, she does have African blood. You can't say that she white, bro. They white. He said it. All right. They're called slaves in respect of the time of their servitude because it is for life. Servants are those which serve only for a few years, according to their time of indenture or the custom of the country. All right. But the custom of the country takes place upon such as have no indenture. Do you know what that means? So if the country says this nigga's a slave, then he's a slave. And the country is the colony, bro. All right. You keep talking about they got non-Christians in Africa, nigga. They got non-Christians in North Carolina. The fuck is you talking about? And what you're being forced to understand is that these so-called slaves that are indentured with no contract for life are prisoners of war. Yeah, they're just grabbing them up. Yes, it's illegal. They're prisoners of war, bro. All right, but and all through the black code of colonial Spain, all right, which we see on the map is much more than them little 13 ass colonies you trying to get a nigga to get down with. All right. We see that. So that's not even an issue for niggas, bro. You way up here in this little tiny area, bro, talking about what's going on all over here. Come on, bro. Is you kidding? Let's get to what your homeboy talking about. Oh, they have to be given a certain amount to eat, and they after my due commendations with thanks for many kindness you have done me and trouble you have gone for me, which I am able to repay only with prayers to God. All right, he ain't got a penny. All right, I am so bold as to beg you once more for a favor at this present moment, although you have just cause to forsake me, since when I left I did not say goodbye to so good a friend. All right, because they just threw me on the ship. All right. Excuse me this time for this fall occurred only because I was afraid that something would interfere with this voyage, which I so much wanted to make. I will not fail to make amends. All right. I'll make it up to you. Please. But completely trusting in your usual kindness, I beg you to be so good to approach Sir William Wadd, or his slave master, Sir Thomas Smythe, Sir Walter Cope, Sir Thomas. All right, these is all the bosses way in London. They don't even touch down. He's sending a letter. Please to have me appointed one of the council here in Virginia, not only as an honor to me, but also to enable me to better pay my debts. All right, because this is a prison colony. They're getting paid in tobacco, cigarettes, nigga. What are they getting paid for? Snitching on each other. All right, so he's writing a letter back to the warden, to the governors. All right, they still use that as a term for wardens of prisons. This is a prison colony, bro. There are members of the council who understand affairs of state no better than I do. All right, so he's big up in himself as the grand rat of the colony. With regard to our trip over, in my opinion of the country, I will inform you the best I can. All right, I'm your ratatouille. I'm your guy to go to. I know what they got. All right. In 5 weeks and 2 days, we arrived. It said, what'd he say? Thursday, we stayed until Monday, and since the wind was not favorable, we had to put in at Falmouth, where we rode out a great storm until Friday, after which we continued our voyage, and in 5 weeks and 2 days arrived at the island of Santo Domingo, which is in the West Indies. We spent the whole day there trading with the savages, who came aboard naked, bringing us potatoes, bananas, pineapples. which are very delicious. Bread they call cassandra, made of certain roots, parrots, cocks, and hens, linen, and other things which they give us in exchange for iron hatchets, saws, knives, rosaries, little bells. No, you're giving them trinkles because you're starving to death. All right. And so skirting on the other islands.
That's time. Better get ready to get into your 20-minute round. That was your 5-minute rebuttal. Let's get into the round.
Yeah,
shout out to everybody in the building, man.
We'll just go ahead and continue. You can start my time, and I'm gonna continue this because I want to paint a picture of these people that he is claiming are making these laws, and they just killing niggas. All right. The following Thursday, the ship which accompanied us was called the Phoenix, lost us in dense fog, which came up when we were not more than 10 or 12 leagues from the entrance to the port, and we have had no further news of it since. All right, so they lost the whole ship. They don't know what the fuck they're doing out here. This is straight from the Virginia archives, a letter from Francis Perkin in Jamestown to a friend in England, March 28, 1608. This is a primary source, sir, according to Harvard. We already established that. All right. This ship called the John and Francis with Captain Christopher Newport arrived at Jamestown on the 2nd of January. The river is very wide, but full of shoals. Just big snitching, just reporting. The neighboring region had a great abundance of swans, herons, cranes, geese, wild ducks, mallards. They got everything. These niggas is balling. All right. After we disembarked, which was on Monday, the following Thursday, there was a fire that spread so that all the houses in the fort were burned down. All right. So now he's finessing, including the storehouse for munitions and supplies. Everything my son and I had was burned except a mattress which had not yet been taken off the ship. Thanks to God, we are at peace with all the inhabitants of the surrounding country, trading for corn and supplies. All right. So in this colony, this little poor ass colony with these rules, he want to pretend like niggas got to live by. No, it's niggas actually outside the fence that's eating. All right. What the fuck y'all got going on in this weird motherfucker? Here, man, here goes some corn and some supplies. All right. They value very highly indeed our reddish copper, their great emperor. What the fuck why you think we care about these niggas' laws? We over here eating with our own emperor. And you talking about the Negro slaves and what they gonna do to you? Bro, we don't even want to go over there, bro. We don't want to go over there with them weirdos. They starving and shit, packing dirt to send back to London. All right, the great emperor of Werowance, which is the name of their kings. All right, so there's multiple kings according to Francis Perkin in Jamestown. All right, as he writes to his friend in England in 1608. It's quite a time ago for these Indians to have kings and emperors. While his poor ass don't even have no draws. And you talking about he's making laws? Well, stop playing. All right. Which is the name of their kings, has sent some of his people to show us how to plant the native wheat corn. All right, we're going to show you how to survive. All right, so this is Turtle Doves and them family. They feeling bad for these clampers. They want to fuck on one of these little pale faces. All right, and they're going to help them make some gear and show them how to fish. All right, and surely, for all we can guess, it is very probable that the land will prove very fertile and good. See, they're racist because they were just enslaved by niggas, bro. All right, so they making up these old weird ass laws under Britain. All right, because there's some, I ain't got to explain that, bro. All right, what we are doing most just now is clearing the forest for the wheat, corn, sprouts in great quantity. They're slaves, bro. They're doing work, and the Indians outside the gate with corn, fish, banana. We're like, what the fuck y'all got going on in there? We over here eating. What y'all got going on in this little starving ass colony? And who is this nigga in here with y'all? Not a coincidence, obeying all y'all weird ass rules y'all making. Oh, he a Quaker. I have sent my lady, your wife, a pair of turtle doves. He sent this bitch some pigeons. Not a coincidence. Bro, I could go get 2 pigeons off the shell lot, my nigga. He's shipping them back like he done goddamn caught a motherfucking turkey or something. All right? He gonna send this bitch 2 pigeons back. That's all he got to get his bitch. And he gonna send her an ear of corn. 1, nigga. Not a bushel, my nigga. All right, he gonna send this bitch a pre-roll, my nigga. You talking about, oh, they got niggas goddamn sacking up big ass pounds of weed in there. You the type of nigga get niggas killed.
Watch the profile. Try to watch the profile.
Oh, excuse me. You know I get it, mom. Forgive me. But what I'm saying is I'm trying to give you an analogy, bro. Ain't nothing in there, bro. All right, they ain't got no bundles. They ain't got no bushels. You trying to run up in there and he shipping off a ear of corn and 2 pots of our ordinary earth. You talking about, well, he got a contract to make sure he eating. He don't have no draws. Not a coincidence. He can't show you proof that they ain't honoring the contract. The nigga sending back pots of dirt and an ear of corn, nigga, and some pigeons. There are many little animals here with skin and fine fur. If I come across any, I'll send them for you and your friends to see, because I don't know how to hunt, because I ain't from here. I don't know what the fuck's going on, all right? I'm on an adventure. There is an abundance of fresh fodder for any kind of livestock, especially pigs and goats, even if there were 1 million of them, all right? There's also around the fort where we have cleared away the trees, all right? They out there doing yard work, regular peon shit, all right? A very great quantity of strawberries and other tasty herbs. And sir, considering this misfortune of the fire has caused a general lack of everything among us, especially me, all right? So now he back begging, all right? Literally, I beg you, all right? So I'm not making this up, all right? I'm not transposing any ideology on this letter. I beg you to see that my Lady Catherine does not get angry with me, but that with the usual nobility of her heart and the affection in which she has been pleased to hold me in the past, she will find way jointly with you and Sir William Cornwallis to recommend as urgently as possible my petition, especially with Sir William Smith, since he more than anyone else carries weight in matters of sor de estado. So he just sucking, begging at the same time, my Lady Catherine be so kind as to get Sir William Cornwallis to send me 10 pounds worth of discarded clothing. All right. He's naked and afraid. This the contract, not a coincidence, got him in. All right. Not a coincidence, middleman on my contract. All right. What did the contract say? That he will receive more gold for his labor. Did he receive more gold? No, the trader disappeared and there was no one to speak his language. All right. Damn, how you gonna do it like that? Not a coincidence. You told him the contract was good, that it was only gonna be for a short time. Now he trying to get 10 pounds of clothes from London. All right, he don't care what it is. Send me some draws. Just send me some draws, man. This day letter, bro. This is a primary source. What you got to see it in cursive? It's from the Encyclopedia of Virginia Humanities primary document. What? In a particularly cold winter. I'm talking about cold winter. You talking about he making laws and grabbing niggas up. No, they're insurgents. All right? That's what they are. Butt naked insurgents. No draws. Can you send me some draws back from London? All right? Because y'all ain't honoring the contract. Do I have to tell y'all that they ain't honoring the contract because this man ain't got no draws on? For I swear to repay them the value of anything they send me, with the duty of acknowledging that it is by her kindness and that of those gentlemen, caballeros, knights, that I and mine live. And if this is not enough to supply the needs of many, may my lady and those gentlemen do me the kindness at least granting to me and my son out of their generosity such of their things as are of little use to them. All right, just send us some hand-me-downs back. All right, I beg you, because we're broke over here. We're starving. I beg you. All right, don't be mad at me. With my liberty and boldness, writing you this long, begging ass letter. Excuse my French. But you remember me out of your goodness, for I am so far and so separated from my friends. And do me also the favor to grant reasonable kindness to my wife, if she would have occasion to appeal to you. So they just banging the guy's wife back out of London. He's sending her back pigeons and dirt. She's like, this nigga's a bum, all right? Begging you to inform my Lady Catherine of the contents of this letter. And if you read all of it, and at the same time recommending me most humbly to her and to those gentlemen whose kindness and favor all my trust is placed, I beg our Lord guard all of you. All right. This 28th of March, 1608, your servant while he lives. All right. Not to be confused with a slave. All right. Because he's a servant. All right. But then you got slaves like Anna Kingsley. All right, and we'll even let her be African for entertainment's sake, even though we've already did a live build on this, and the archaeology has shown that there was absolutely no traces of Africanism found on the Kingsley plantation. It was done in 1980. All right, but we didn't come to talk about archaeology. We came to talk about slaves and servants. So there we have a servant, an indenture. All right, now let's see what these slaves are doing. All right, since they're so different. In the early years of the 19th century, the population of Spanish Florida was small but diverse. Americans and Europeans came seeking wealth and obtaining land. and establishing plantations. Furthermore, the forced labor of enslaved Africans secured that wealth. Those Africans who were freed by their owners or who purchased their own freedom became farmers, tradesmen, or black militiamen. All right, now there's going to be a lot of hijacking in here. We're not here to get into all the hijacking. You know, this is from the Prussian school system. It's an actual school lesson. So that's what he likes to do. It says right here that she has African blood. Yes, bro, but everybody's white. It didn't say anything about anybody being mulatto.
10 minutes, brother. 10 minutes.
So you're going to have to do a lot of more reading. All right. So let's fast forward a bit to when Anna Kingsley was a free woman. All right. On the first day of March, 1811, all right, in the Spanish province of East Florida. Well, everybody's slaves. The white man said he gonna beat us. Well, in 1811, during slavery times in a province of East Florida, white plantation owner Zephaniah Kingsley put his signature on a document that forever changed the life of a young African woman, allegedly. All right. And the document was a manumission paper which ensured her legal freedom. Now, to give you a little insight, if you weren't a slave, you couldn't get manumission papers. All right. So this is how they finessing niggas with these documents, and they're gonna keep arguing and telling y'all, oh, he used to be a slave. He used to be a slave. He had to finesse to get his paperwork. All right. The document was a manumission paper which ensured her legal freedom. The young woman, a native of Senegal, allegedly, all right, whom Kingsley had purchased in a slave market in Havana, Cuba. And this is why I say allegedly, all right, because she was purchased in Cuba. All right. And even as we'll read more, I'm going to go ahead and read her story because she's an important person to remember. Whatever narrative you want to take from it, I want her name to be remembered. Like I'm that tied to the people and that tied to the land that I want her name to be remembered no matter what you label her. You know what I'm talking about? But I digress. She was his 18-year-old wife and the mother of his 3 children. All right. That paper not only marked the beginning of the young woman's freedom in the New World, it was also the beginning of the written record of a remarkable life. So that's the beginning of the written record. All right. So all this Africa is going to be pretty hard to stick to her. All right. A free woman, Anna Kingsley, petitioned the Spanish government for land. Oh, well, she's a slave. Oh, you can't do nothing. Oh, she petitioned the Spanish government for land, and the land grant records show that in 1813 she was granted title to 5 acres on the St. Johns River. Not a coincidence. This is from LatinAmericanStudies.org. All right. All these links I'll be more than happy to provide anyone with. We have nothing to hide. All right. The truth needs no support. So while he wants to tell you that you being beat, no, the naked white Christians are being beat long as we fill out some papers. Well, in Virginia. All right. Meanwhile, in Florida, I showed you that big map you remember in those first rounds, right? Meanwhile, the free woman, Anna Kingsley, petitioned the Spanish government for land, and the land grant records show that in 1813, she was granted title to 5 acres on the St. Johns River. All right. So life's a little different for us that aren't at the little weird colony with you guys. All right. That's whatever floats your boat. If you like eating dirt and sending corn to London, do your thing. All right. We down south living a little different. The property was located across the river from her husband's plantation, Laurel Grove, south of today's Jacksonville. Anna purchased goods and livestock to begin a business, and she purchased slaves. Not a coincidence. All right. Well, the indentured servant, he living like SHIT. What are you talking about? They're not the same. Okay. The slaves is living better than. Make it make sense. Because they're employed by righteous people. See the difference? All right. Anna purchased goods and livestock to begin a business, and she purchased slaves. All right. She became one of significant numbers of free people. And of course, they got to throw African in because it's Prussian schooling. All right. They don't want us to know who it is. She's one of the free people of African descent in East Florida. All right. One of, because there's many free people. All right, you keep talking about these slaves. Slaves, everybody's slaves. Bro, free Negro registers from Virginia, untold, now available. All right, they're available now. 1793, Virginia Assembly passed a law requiring that all free blacks and multiracial individuals of black descent in the state of Virginia be registered in a book recording various details about their identity, physical appearance, free status, a snitch book. All right, these individuals were declared free on paper. In fact, their lives were surveilled and recorded by white officials, all right? Like y'all doing us now, surveilling us, all right? Not all, but many of these registered books have survived. The Library of Virginia has
5 minutes, brother. 5 minutes.
39 physical volumes from 17 Virginia localities. Why don't you look into these records? All right, the Register of Free Negroes and Mulattoes, 1819 to 1833, Petersburg City. Why don't you look into those Virginia records? Not a coincidence. Why don't you look into the Register from Petersburg City, 1831, 1839? All right, free Negroes everywhere. Registers marked with an asterisk. They're also available as of 3:30. All right, so this is old news. This is from 2022. How you don't know? Y'all so African and black. Free Negroes everywhere. Arnalia, what is that? Amelia County, Free Negro Register, 1804, 1835, 1865. All right, 1822. Bedford County, 1803. Well, who are all these free Negroes? They're signing up all these registers in every county. All these counties? All these counties where he said you slaves? Let's get back to Miss Kingley, Ma'am Anna, as they referred to her throughout history. All right. Let's talk about her slaves and some of these free African descent people. All right. They included farmers, craftsmen, and members of black militia. Some of these people, like Anna, owned slaves. Although slavery was supported, Spanish race policies encouraged manumission and self-purchase, and slavery was not necessarily considered a permanent condition. Well, that's quite contrary to what Not a Coincidence wants you to believe America was like. He wants you to live in a world where everyone's in bondage. He wants you to live on a little naked colony with the dirt-eating corn distributors. All right? But that's not our life. The free black population held certain rights and privileges, and they had opportunities to take an active part in the economic development of the colony. All right. Anna Kingsley was determined to be an independent businesswoman, selling goods and poultry to neighboring settlers. All right. So she's selling she's selling chicken plates. All right. She got chicken plates. Meanwhile, they catching doves out the park and sending dirt back to London, begging for a pair of drawers. You can't see through this. Her blossoming business lasted only months. During an effort to wrest East Florida from the Spanish, armed American forces entered the province. Oh, that's how. Let me show you how you become slaves. This how you become slaves and get taken somewhere where they'd have made a whole bunch of laws and say, oh, these niggas slaves for life in this country. All right. Together with a number of rebellious Floridans, they looted and occupied, all right, the homestead of planters and settlers to obtain supplies and set up bases. Now, we know that's not a coincidence, colony, because you must be from there, all right? These must be your guys. You're talking about we got laws. Well, we don't live by them laws, my nigga, all right, that y'all got going on up that way. But you see what y'all doing, all right? You insurgents, all right? If these insurgents succeeded, and an American system replaced the comparatively liberal Spanish policies, what would become of the free people and their rights? All right, they're little by little moving in to overthrow our already established governments, cities, emperors, kings that we've proven with primary sources according to Harvard. My nigga, if you better than Harvard, my nigga, you really are a narcissist. All right. When the Americans approached, that's the Virginia colony, all right? Anna herself hit the fire that consumed her house and property. Then she escaped with her children and slaves on a Spanish gunboat. She had to flee from these devils that, not a coincidence, tells you is ruling the world. These starving savages, all right? These Slavs. The insurrection later ended in failure, and it turned out Anna's loss was not total. Although Spanish commandment reported of Anna's property, the flames devoured grain and other things to the value of $1,500. The governor rewarded her loyalty with a land grant of 350 acres. So now we have the governor of Spain has given her, oh, she was a slave, right? She's way worse condition than a indentured servant. Well, not according to these sources that we're looking at. Or maybe you thought we didn't know about any of these people. We didn't know about the starving Slav in Virginia and his letter. Or you thought y'all erased Anna That's what y'all thought? Because you still owe her them acres? Because her and her husband actually got 35. They bought 35,000 acres in Haiti. You say time? You say time out?
No, I ain't say nothing.
Okay. It says Laurel Grove. Well, let me wrap this up so I can get through her story. So hopefully we can remember Ma'am Anna. Shout out Ma'am Anna. All right. Laurel Grove was also destroyed as a result of the conflict in 1814. All right. Everybody's slaves, not a coincidence. Zephaniah and Anna Kingsley, along with their children and slaves, all right, moved to Fort George Island, a sea island near the mouth of St. John River. On this 1,000-acre island with palm fringed beaches, birds of every description, and ancient Indian mounds of oysters, they restored the abandoned plantation.
That's Tom. Shout out to the motherfucking debaters, bro. This was a slugfest. For those that's listening in and viewing this in the chat, make sure y'all hit the poll. The poll is in the chat right now as we speak. Pick who you got winning this debate. Hawk School, not a coincidence. Shout out to both of these brothers. I tip my hat to both of these brothers. They came to bank it out. This was a fire one. The show ain't done. We getting into the 20-minute answering the question round, rapid question, rapid answering. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna allow y'all to ask 2 questions apiece, and then allow the next person to ask 2 questions apiece. Okay, so let's get right into it. Not a coincidence. What's the word?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, you get to ask your first 2 questions, then Hawk School get to go right after you, brother. Go ahead.
All right, so my first question is, why your whole third round you didn't address indentured servants and slaves? You read a letter from some people complaining.
That was an indentured. That was an indentured servant. It was a letter from an indentured servant, sir. I'm sorry it went over your head. It was completely about it. The whole letter was written by an indentured servant. Are you kidding me? You see what I had to deal with?
So where in this letter does it say? This is my second question. Can I share my screen real quick?
You got 60 seconds.
Yeah. Wow.
So where in this letter does it say that he's a indentured servant?
Use the context clues, bro.
No, it doesn't. There's no context clues. It doesn't say anything like that. You're making that up. I'm done. He made that up.
Bro, I read the whole letter. So everybody is smart enough to know these are the letters from the Virginia. This is about the Virginia colony. The whole website is about the Virginia colony, the Virginia laws, and the Virginia indentured servants. He is one of the planters at the Virginia colony who's eating dirt, my nigga. Is you mad he eating dirt and don't got no draws?
I can care less. So
who do you think he is? You think he the governor?
This is 2 years in. This is 2 years in. They're not.
I'm just asking, who do you think he is? The nigga who eating dirt with no draws. No. Who you think he is based on what you learned?
All right, so the letter doesn't say that.
Hold on. Okay. Go ahead, Hawk. You got 2 questions. Go ahead.
I want to know who he think this dude is. I want to know who he thinks he is. All right. And why does he want to ignore the fact that that Virginia is one little city, bro? That these laws did not apply to everybody. We just saw that you weren't even in perpetual slavery in the slave codes under the Spanish law. You could be manumitted. You could buy yourself out of slavery. You want to act like all these free slaves came from Africa? No, they came out the Spanish colony, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you tell me, who is this nigga with the letter? I have one question only. Who is this then? You tell me who he is.
Go ahead.
He is a colonist. He's a planter. He is not an indentured servant. There's nothing in this letter says he is. He isn't.
Go ahead, Hawk. You gotta say. You get your second question in. Go ahead.
We'll I mean, if that's all you got, bro. If that's all you got, you know what I mean? I mean, it is what it is, bro. I can't break it down no more. I can't make it more minuscule for you. Bro, I done brought you the letters. I brought you the white slaves. I brought you these people being sold. Slave is literally in 3 forms. I showed you all 3 forms of slavery, bro. Like, so I don't know what else you need, bro.
What are we doing? We doing questions or what, man?
Here, matter of fact, here.
Yeah, you got another question, Hawk School. What's your next question?
Well, you know, I don't really have any questions because I know it's a done deal. But here you can see the Lewiston Mills regulations, and I'll send this to you. And this is 1867. This is after slavery. All right. These are the regulations to be observed by all persons employed in the Lewiston Mill. All right. And they have an overseer. And these are factory workers, which we know is another form of slavery, according to the definition. Whereas this is
Hold on. You passed your 60 seconds. It's not a coincidence. Time to ask the question. Go ahead. You got two questions, not a coincidence.
So, all right, can you share my screen? So, Hall School, Anna Kinsley, when she wrote the Spanish government, was she free or enslaved? Because you said both things.
She was freed in 1811 at age 18 by her husband. Her and her
I didn't
three
ask you
kids.
that. I didn't ask you that. So you're not answering the question.
1811.
I said
She was freed in 1811. You check the date.
You're not answering the question.
You gotta stay
You're not
muted.
answering the question. The question
It don't matter
is,
when she was free. She was free during.
he can't even follow simple rules.
Go ahead,
The question is, when she wrote the Spanish government for land, was she free or enslaved? Because you tried to make the point that how is a slave writing the government? Was she free or enslaved?
I was showing you that slaves were living better than indentured
The question
servants.
was she free
owned
or
slaves.
enslaved?
Hold on, not coincidence. You asked your question, allow them to answer.
She owned slaves, lived on a 1,000-acre plantation, and everybody was balling in better condition than them indentured servants that was eating dirt in Virginia who can't control the world. All right, she's on a resort. She's living a resort life with her slaves, while this indentured servant is in the woods eating dirt. All right. So if you want to pretend they different, you can't say it's because somebody, oh, well, they're eating dirt and getting whipped only with a court order. Bro, what is you talking about? She lives on an island, bro, and runs a retail store.
All right. Not coincidence. You got another question, brother.
Yeah, so my question is, so obviously you don't understand what you was reading. So the question prior was she free or enslaved? So she got the freedom. Hold on, stop.
She was freed in 1811.
No, you have to stop.
She was free.
He has muted while he's asking this question. Go ahead, Dr. Coincidence.
Terrible. He has no decorum and he can't even answer the question, right? So yes, she was freed in 1811, but she wrote she petitioned the Spanish government in 1813. She petitioned it in 1813. So at the time that she petitioned it, she was free. So Hawk School, why are you trying to act like a slave was right?
She owned slaves, bro.
Spanish government. That's the question.
No, because
the question is,
because you're saying everybody was enslaved. It's 1813.
I never
You're
said
saying everyone is enslaved. You're
told
saying
you
Negroes is
everybody
being
wasn't.
beat. They can't live their
I
life.
just
They don't have no freedom.
That's
They
not
get
what I said.
grabbed up.
I just made a
And I
distinction
showed you the
between
exact opposite of
servants and
that.
slaves. So obviously everybody isn't
Go
a
ahead.
slave.
You just twitching at this point, bro.
I gave you.
It's 1813. Slavery isn't abolished.
So
Slavery isn't abolished. It don't matter what's going on.
Hold on.
Two questions he didn't answer.
All right, Hawk, do you have two questions for not a coincidence?
If the law allowed your boss to beat you naked with a court order, would you keep your job? And if so, why or why not?
No, because I wouldn't have a job where anybody could put hands on me.
Right. Why? Because you're not a slave, right? Well, they can beat the indentured servants with paperwork, all right? So remember that. Be careful what contracts you sign.
That's it. So what can they do to the slave?
There's nothing to say. It's 1813. It's 1813. She owns acres of land.
Where's the question? You're supposed to be asking the question.
Her slaves.
He don't got a question.
Ask your last question.
I already asked him who was the guy that was eating dirt in Virginia that's begging.
Go ahead. Not coincidence. Answer that.
I told you already. He was a colonist.
After that, y'all can just have a back and forth after this. Y'all have 10 minutes to go back and forth.
He was a colonist and he was not indentured. Nothing in the letter says he has an indenture. Nothing in it.
Okay.
Nothing in it.
The letter doesn't have to say you got to do research to know who he is. You don't.
So,
I'm
okay,
asking
this
you
is a
who he
debate.
is. I'm just asking you who he is.
Show us how he was indentured. Let's go. Besides you
No,
making it
I
up.
don't have to show you nothing.
Because you
I'm
can.
showing you
Just like
that
you did
no
all
matter
night.
what,
You
the
didn't show
nigga
us
in Virginia.
anything.
I'm showing you the
You didn't
condition
show
of
us
the people
anything
in
all
the
night.
colony of Virginia.
You just
This
made
is
shit
how
up.
people are living in the colony of Virginia that you saying making all these laws
So
and
was
it's
she
controlling
free?
everything. I'm showing you how they're living in Virginia and how they're writing to
They
London
just started. So
begging
when
for
did?
help
All right.
because
When is
all
that
they
letter
got
from?
to eat is dirt.
When is that
Okay?
letter from?
They're
Hold on,
selling
let me
pot
say
to
this.
dirt.
Hold on. Y'all almost at the 10-minute marker. I just want to make sure I shout the chat out. Make sure I'm encouraging you guys to go hit the poll. Let me know who y'all thought won this debate. This is a dope. And of course, I'm gonna let these brothers finish having their back and forth, and we're gonna close out at the end of this 10 minutes, you guys. So let's go. Shout out to these two brothers. Let's get it.
Like he just said, we're in the debate. He said he don't have to show nothing. So when is the time to show something? He didn't show anything, right? He's over here making stuff up about Anna
bro,
Kingsley.
that don't work, bro. This
He's
ain't your
making shit
channel.
up. She
This
was
a debate.
free.
That
She
don't
was
work,
free.
bro.
It
It's
do
too
work.
late.
It's a debate.
It's too
This is
late,
where
bro.
you
You
show shit
twitching,
at.
bro.
This is where
Die
you
like
show
a
shit at,
man,
and you
bro.
still can't show nothing.
Bro, die like a man.
You failed to show how indentured servants and slaves are the same. All I did all night was show how they are completely different in law,
Hey, it's all
in
good,
these contracts.
man. I'm gonna roll up
and
and let
everything.
you just talk,
It was
man.
terrible. You did a terrible job, bro.
Yeah, you Africans, you Pan-African guys, you always twitching when you die, man. I be thinking you still alive. People want to put more shots in you, and I be forgetting you already dead.
It's looking bad for you, Hope, man. This shit was terrible. The whole third round, you read a letter from. You talked about
all I had to
Francis
do.
Perkins.
All I'm what? Listen,
You talk about
what
Francis Perkins.
Listen, it's
This
called
don't got nothing with
contract.
indentured
I'm
servitude.
showing you the difference of
And
how
then you
you
show
saying
Anna
slavery.
Kingsley.
You're saying
Anna
someone in
Kingsley,
slavery
listen.
is in a worse condition than somebody
She
in a
wasn't-
Virginia colony.
she
We ain't even
wasn't
got to make him an
enslaved.
indentured servant. What was he? He was a free man.
Free.
Who was
Right
he?
in the
What was
beginning.
he? What
Why
was
you
he? He
making
was
stuff
just
up?
another
Right in the
poor
beginning,
ass
she was
colony.
free. She gets free right in the beginning of her story.
Yeah, it's 1811. Why is she free? Why is she free and owning slaves? Not a coincidence.
She's over here.
Slavery's not abolished.
Because
It's
the person who was
1813.
having sex with her freed her.
But
There
you
was
want to make
not
the
everybody's
white.
a
You want to
slave.
make the
Obviously,
white
you see,
people.
they're indentured servants.
It's okay, man. You'll figure it out.
This is not about color. This is about indentured servants and slaves. You the one that can't get out your mind what the
Are
topic is
indentured
about.
servants and slaves the
You
same?
can't. You
Yes,
don't understand what the topic is.
They're the same, bro. All right. And if you look
Obviously
into
they
the
not.
Virginia law, and when you read
Obviously
this,
they not.
bro,
Don't
look,
talk
her
about the
3
Virginia
children.
law. That's all I
Bro,
know. The Virginia
you know
law.
one of her children
You
was
didn't
2
show
months
nothing.
old. One of her children was 2 months old, but you think the child
You
is
didn't
slave.
show nothing.
You
It's
think the
about
child is
property.
slave. But I see
It's
you
about
pulled up
property.
everything. How I ain't show nothing, but you pulling up everything that I showed.
Yeah, I'm
That's
showing
crazy.
how you misused it. You
Do
said
your
that
homework.
you asked.
No, you got homework. Take it back down to the station and y'all get to work.
You sat there and asked.
I already
was
did the
she-
archaeology on Anna Kingsley and the Kingsley plantation. They can't find any African links. She owned ships. Her husband actually went back and forth to Africa getting ships. She never went back to Africa. All right. So all that she from Africa, she never wanted to go back. She never brought
So
one
what?
of her cousins back on the boat, but
What
she
does that have
brought
to
some
do with it
slaves
being
back.
indentured servant?
It has a lot to do with the indentured servants
Nothing.
ain't in a better switch. No, they're all employees, bro.
Nothing.
All right. And the people in Virginia wanted to make niggas
She-
slaves
listen,
forever because they
She
were
had
so
to.
poor
She
and
had to
starving.
get a contract. She had to get emancipation papers. She didn't have a contract. She had to get papers signed by somebody. Indentured servants already before they
It's
have the
okay, bro.
agreement.
Breathe, man.
They
Just
already
breathe.
have the agreement.
Just breathe, bro. Breathe. You acting like a bond servant.
They already have the agreement with the indentured contract before anything happens. This is terrible, huh?
Bro, the kids definition. Can I share my screen, please? Can we get the kids definition of slave on the screen? Oh, well, she's a slave. Oh, you can't do nothing. Oh, she petitioning
Look,
the Spanish
you
government
said
for
it-
land and the land grant.
You said it yourself. Look, you said she's a slave. She ain't no slave.
Oh, you can't do nothing.
She ain't no slave.
She was a slave,
Oh, she
allegedly.
petitioning the Spanish government for
You
land,
saying that,
and the land
that we're
grant
in this
record shows
All you gotta
condition
do is listen to your
forever?
words. All you
No,
gotta do
you
is listen to your words.
a slave is a
The
slave
St. John's
forever,
River.
right?
Not a
Well,
coincidence.
no, she ain't. She ain't. She ain't a
Acres.
slave forever. She
The St.
18 and
John's
she
River
free
records
and
show
on
that in
land and
1813
slave.
she was granted title to 5 acres
Yeah,
from the St.
study. Do
John's
your
River.
homework. Don't play it back,
You just
bro.
over here making
You
making shit
weird,
up.
bro.
Just
You
making
gotta
shit up.
study after the debate, dog. Don't let
You
them
just
know
making
what
shit
you're
up.
doing.
You sat there and tried to act like, oh, she was a slave. How's a slave doing this? No, she was freed in 1811. You made all this shit up. You made it all up. She was freed by 1813 when she petitioned the Spanish government. Either you can't read, or you
It's
trying to
over
pull a
your head,
fast
bro.
one,
The whole
or you
reason
trying to
for
pull
me
a
reading
fast
that
one on the
"Long Live
people.
Ma'am Anna," bro.
Or you trying to pull the fast
Shit.
one on the people.
Shout out to the family, bro, because it ain't
Even
for
your
you.
sources disagree.
Hey, can we ask questions now, or y'all just
No,
go back and
no
forth?
questions. This is they back and forth. We better get ready to close
Oh
up
man,
around.
Okay.
Get ready to
Even
close
your
up.
I'm
sources
cool.
disagree with you.
I mean, it ain't the back and forth is just
Now
like
you want to run. You want to don't run now.
from
You
what,
sound like
bro?
a real scared
Listen,
pup.
bro.
You
She
didn't
it
have
is
no real questions because I
1813. She's
smashed you every
18
round.
years old and owned slaves, bro,
So what?
and
What does
her
that
own
mean?
business.
She had
You
that. She
just
had to
said she
go.
was going to be a slave for life,
She had to
according to
be
you.
emancipated. Who said
You
that?
said you got laws for it. That's what you said. We got laws. We gonna keep these niggas
Laws on how
slaves
to
for
be.
lives. Well,
See
she 18, freed
how
in a
to be.
motherfucking bird,
If
owning
somebody
niggas like you,
emancipate them, that's something
bro.
different. I showed you
Back and
freedom
forth for the
speech and
birds,
everything.
bro. Hey man,
This
R.I.P.
shit is
my nigga.
terrible. You didn't know. You brought this up and try to say that, oh, she was a slave, how she doing this? But come to find out, she was free when she was doing it. That's the whole point. Don't run from that. We heard you say it. We heard you say it, Hawk. Terrible.
Bro, her slaves that's living on the island in the 2-room loft with the fireplace, they're slaves, bro. Okay.
We heard you say it.
And they're living in 2-room lofts with their own fireplace. Meanwhile, in Virginia, some paleface is eating dirt with no drawers on, and you think he makes laws for somebody.
That don't have nothing to do if indentured servant and slaves are different. Watch this.
This government for land. Oh, well, she's a slave. Oh, you can't do nothing. Oh, she.
Look, he's calling her a slave, but
Yeah, that's
she was
what you're
free.
saying, bro. You
No,
can't
that's
do
what
that,
you're
bro.
saying.
What kind of weird shit are you
She
doing at
was
a
free.
debate?
This is terrible.
Bro, no, that's what you're
Terrible.
saying. She was
Terrible.
a slave. She was manumitted, and then she got
You mad
land.
I'm faster than you, brother?
No, you're
Don't be
mad,
mad
bro.
I'm faster than you.
How?
You should have took notes like I did.
She was never a slave. You said she was gonna be a
Took
slave for
notes like
life.
I did.
If she would have went with you to Virginia,
I
she would have
never
been
know.
fucked over.
Who
She'd
said
have been
anything
eating
about being
dirt.
slave for
She'd
life?
have been eating dirt and popcorn with no drawers on with you and them white boys in Virginia.
I
But
clearly
instead,
said
she
people
living a
had to-
good life,
They had to
owning
run
niggas
away.
like you and
They
the
had
nigga
to
in
run
Virginia.
away.
You
I
see
said
how
they had to-
different it
nope.
is?
You can go right back. I said they had to run away or get emancipated by their owner. I said this in the debate about slaves. Meanwhile, indentured servants, when they go into the indentured servitude,
Hey man,
it's a
peace to the
contract.
tribes. I
brother.
did my job, man. I ain't
It's
doing
a
none of this shit,
contract.
man. I don't this shit. Yeah,
It
that
was
was a
terrible.
contract kill. This nigga still twitching, Bap. I'm about to put more rounds in him.
That shit was terrible.
You can screenshot at any given time. Y'all got like 4 minutes left. He was screenshotting for like the last 10 minutes. So if you want to pull up something, the remaining 4, y'all can, and the back of y'all going back and forth. Make sure y'all hit that poll in the chat and go vote. It's gonna be very important for you guys to vote. It's very important for you guys to vote. We're gonna have the after party after this particular debate. So you guys will be able to come on and ask the brothers questions. Not a coincidence, Hawk School. Want you brothers to pop up on the after party. We have some brothers that want to ask y'all guys some questions. So we can get it in, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Are you trying to screenshot out?
He don't got nothing to share. He's terrible, bro. He's
Yeah,
up here faking the fun. He shot.
You
shot
share,
all his
you're
bullets.
literally
shot all his
sharing me.
bullets.
All you got to share
Nigga
is
shot
me.
all
you got to share is me. You know why, right?
I'm showing you lying about what the article actually says.
What was
No,
I
I'm showing you
about?
lying about what the article says.
What does that change?
You
What
try
do you
to
prove?
you try to
I
act you
prove that her slaves,
you posed the question.
Anna Kingsley, who was once a slave, allegedly was once a slave. All right, allegedly was once a slave.
We heard you.
That you said would be a slave forever.
You try to front.
Didn't you say we got laws for it? We got laws to keep her a slave forever. You're gonna get beat, and the white Christians, they're safe. They got to get. You got to fill out a form to beat them. Well, Anna ain't getting beat. She owns slaves, and her slaves live in houses, bro. These people is shipwrecked, eating dirt,
Yes,
bro.
got emancipated.
What don't you understand,
You
bro?
can't be this slow. Yo, listen, you showed nothing. All you try to do is
that's all you
impose
get.
your own little fake little theory. This was terrible. Once again, terrible.
Hey, man, I do it for us. Peace to the unconquered tribes. We still here.
Don't act like we didn't hear you say, "Oh, she was a slave." How she petitioning the government? Well, she did it because she wasn't a slave. That's how. Stop lying to people.
What difference do it make? She owns slaves. Slavery is still going on.
If it
She's
didn't
not
make a difference, you wouldn't say it.
Because she's a free colored person, one of many. One of the many free colored people who own slaves. You telling niggas that everybody's a slave. No, everybody don't live in Virginia.
You wouldn't have lied about it.
Matter of fact, don't nobody live in Virginia.
You wouldn't have lied about it. If it didn't make a difference, you wouldn't have lied about it. Terrible. You over here lying in the bed, got caught red-handed.
Shout out to everybody in the building, man. I don't know how the hell
Here, man. Here, can we please for the children.
All right, shout out to everybody in the building, man. This was a dope ass debate, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Make sure y'all get the polls, hit the polls, y'all. Hit the polls as y'all come in. If you haven't had a chance, if you don't see it, refresh it. This is it, man. This is it. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure y'all get y'all polls.
All right.
We about to get ready to get out of here. This was it, man. This was one of the ones. Hawk School versus not a coincidence, man. So yeah, man, we about to get ready to make our way to the after party. We do got the poll in the chat. I am going to drop that here in just a second. I don't know how 170 people voted when we didn't sell that many goddamn tickets. I don't know what the fuck is going on. That's crazy. That's non-biased though. I guess 180 to 190 votes. Shout out to everybody that's in the building, man. Make sure y'all hit them tickets. Vote. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Not a Coincidence. I appreciate you, brother. You did a good job. Hawk School, phenomenal work, brother. Let everybody, hey, man, hit that like button, thumb up the video, support the channel. We about to get ready to go to the after party. All right, I'm putting the poll in the chat right now as we speak, you guys. The poll is 50% Not a Coincidence, 49% Hawk School. Shout out to Not a Coincidence on this win. Appreciate you, brother. This was
It should have been worse than
votes,
that.
bro. Where my money?
I don't know how y'all. Yo, that's
y'all niggas crazy, bro. Y'all.
I don't know what y'all.
Oh wow.
We ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that.
Shout out to everybody.
Y'all using them 10 pages. Y'all got y'all. Wow.
Yeah, but see what happened.
I do it for us, man. I do it for us.
Hold on, we'll talk about what went down. Everybody know what went down earlier when we first started the live stream. A lot of people came in that didn't purchase because it was public. I had to switch it to unlisted. So shout out to everybody in the building. We're not tripping. Everybody came in.
Don't.
Hey, that would be 50-50, yo. It has to come out on the percentage of 100%. So it would still be 50-50 because how can
he get 50%? That don't make sense. 50. I seen 51%, so I don't know how to say 50. I seen 51.
Yes, 51%, 51% to 49%.
Exactly. So that adds up to 100.
Yeah, you over there voting for yourself, so that hit different. My culture don't allow me to vote for myself.
I hear you. Shout out to everybody in the building, man.
Yeah, I know you voted for yourself. You're a narcissist. I ain't even vote. That's crazy. I know you're a narcissist, bro. My culture won't allow me to vote.
Hey, shout out to both of y'all brothers. Come over to the other side. We ain't done. People in the chat got questions. So we running over to the other side, man. Y'all already know, man. Shout out to everybody in the building.
The hell he went.
Some power out of here, y'all.
I had to really step back, look at my situation for what it was. I had to look at my life like it was a movie. I had to look at all the moving parts. So I could really understand what it was. They say love make you blind. Yeah. I'm introverted. I don't talk to niggas cause I'm constantly serving. I got a trap on top of my bed. I got a murder. Echoes out the block, the streets wanna murder. This shit come with burdens. The streets wanna murder. Streets wanna murder. I told you that this thing of ours come with burdens.